letting you guys know what happened. So Kevin Hart had a roast. And in the roast, this is something that celebrities and comedians do where they invite a lot of other celebrities, other people in the industry that they're a part of, sports, athletes, comedians, filmmakers, all of that stuff. They come there and they just pretty much roast each other. Everybody gets on stage and they roast other people in the audience and stuff like that. Other people there present. Keep that in mind. They were there present, right? And normally it's a fun thing. It's a thing everybody knows. Hey, you can't wear your feelings on your sleeve. You got to come there. You got to have thick skin. You got to get ready to receive some jokes, okay? And some of the stuff is funny. Most of the time, it kind of gets funny, okay? Depending on who the roast is about. So in this particular case, Netflix hosted a roast with Kevin Hart. Okay, so the roast was on Kevin Hart. And you had Kevin Hart up there. You had Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson up there. You had a whole bunch of other black celebrities. Cat Williams actually made an appearance, which is another thing. But I couldn't help but notice pretty much all, if you guys have seen it, but there was one in particular with this guy, pretty much all of the YT people who got up there made a joke about Kevin Hart, but and they joked about other people in the audience, but the jokes didn't stay on Kevin or even the people in the audience, the other guests there. The jokes went, and it was a dog whistle. Pretty much every single last one of their jokes was a dog whistle to some type of racial hierarchy that they felt. All of their jokes gave a very YT supremacist theme and feel to it. And there was one joke that really stood out, and I'm going to play it for you guys. Let me pull it up on my other phone. From somebody that a lot of people have not even heard of at this point. But this guy has made a joke about, let me see, he made a joke about Kevin Hart, but he also made a joke about George Floyd. So I'm going to play it for you guys in case you guys haven't seen it.
You know, Kevin, they told me not to mention your kids on this roast, but I must say, you did good. They've gotten so big, they now buckle Kevin up in the car seat. It's true he lost his gig hosting the Academy Awards because of some homophobic tweets, but you'd be homophobic too if you were eye level with everyone's cock. He got into a fist fight on a private plane, proof that no matter how much money black people have, they're still just gonna act like ninjas. Always fighting. Like Bill Cosby, Hart is a black comedian from Philadelphia, and like Bill Cosby, women don't know when Kevin is inside of them. You've done good though, Kevin. The black community is so proud of you right now. George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard that he can't breathe.
All right. That didn't go over that well. First off, he butchered the joke. He couldn't even say it without stuttering. That's how bad it was. But a lot of people like, no, that's not funny. And then you got some people all like, hey, it's a roast. But listen, I want us to understand that. I want us to have this conversation because there's a level when it comes to dark humor that we as adults, we have to understand, right? People like, oh, it's dark humor. You guys are just too sensitive. Everybody's just too sensitive about certain things. Okay. There's a time and a place for everything. I want us to all understand this. There is a time and a place for that. When it comes to humor in general, there's a touch of reality that humor is supposed to touch on, okay? And humor can be sensitive. Humor can be dark. Some people have a taste for it. Some people don't have a taste for it. Now, when it comes to humor that is dark, there's a thin line between dark humor and racist humor. Okay, there's a thin line between humor that is quote unquote dark humor and then humor that is really kind of shadow racism and you making a racial statement You trying to put out racial narratives and propaganda and pathology and your ideology, and you're masking that under the guise of dark humor. And it's something that is serious, and it's something that we need to be careful of. All right. And I'm gonna start letting other people up in a little bit. Okay. The reason why we need to be very careful of this is because these things don't live in a vacuum. And what I mean by that is I mean that these things have consequences to them. We have to understand that humor and all of this stuff has consequences to it. Jim Crow, the Jim Crow that our ancestors as foundational Black Americans had to endure and overcome, survive, endure, overcome, all of that stuff started as a joke. Okay? The minstrel shows where you saw white people wearing blackface and pretending to be Negroes and goofy and all of that stuff, that was comedy at first. The postcards that they sent of these very animalistic, cartoonish Black people with big smiles from ear to ear with a big slice of watermelon in their hand, these were jokes at first. But these jokes went to conditioning a society to start viewing Black people, that they went to creating and confirming biases and stigmas against Black people. So in this country, in America, jokes have consequences. All right. So joking about Black people, that's one thing. Making a joke about George Floyd, and he deliberately tried to do it during the roast, so it can get a pass, like, oh, this is his chance to say what he wants to say about George Floyd and say, hey, it was a joke, so you guys can't hold me accountable to it. All right. Jokes have consequences. George Floyd had absolutely nothing to do with Kevin Hart at all. So there's absolutely no need for George Floyd to be brought up. And not only him, and I know I'm highlighting him, but just because Kevin Hart is Black does not mean, that roast was less about Kevin Hart and more about y'all trying to throw out little racist dog whistles to the entire Black community. The entire Black community was catching strays by them using Kevin Hart as a proxy. All right. And roasts do not typically go that way. Okay. When people roast women, all women, they don't sit up there and they might say a sexist joke here or there towards her, but there's a line that they don't cross. They don't use her as a proxy to get everybody. Okay. So their jokes they were trying to target the community, and they were using Kevin Hart as a proxy in a veil to do that. And we have to understand that these jokes need to stop. When I've seen videos of people being all, oh, it's a roast, it might have gone too far. No, absolutely not. It is not. No, it went too far. We know what happened. Nobody is stupid. We're not dumb. We're not slow. We were not born yesterday. We understand what this is about. Okay? We know this. And let me be abundantly clear. There was a joke made by Pete I keep forgetting his name. Hetzef, I think his name is, right? He made a joke about Charlie Kirk. And you had a whole bunch of people from Turning Point USA talk about, man, that joke went too far. I don't think you should make that joke. Remember, Jimmy Kimmel made a joke really about Donald Trump, but it was in regards to his response to Charlie Kirk. They took Jimmy Kimmel's show down. So their community is hypersensitive to quote unquote jokes. So it's not like these jokes, because they understand jokes can condition a society to view a certain thing a certain way. So they're hypersensitive to any of that, to any mocking of them, to any of that. All right. And when it comes to Black people, it's their way of subtly conditioning Black people to accept anti-black racism. The fact that he said the ninjas thing, he stretched it like he was about to say the N-word, because according to them, it is hilarious. The N-word is just hilarious. It's their favorite word. All right. They have some weird obsession with the N-word. They do. It gives them like a dopamine rush to say it. They really do. And the fact that he's about to say it, not just about Kevin Hart, but about the community, because he said, don't matter how much money you give a black person, okay, because now you're going past Kevin. Now you're just talking about his community now. They're going to be ninjas. Oh, we thought you were going to say the N-word. Hilarious. But it wasn't about that. It's about conditioning. Now you're going to see a whole bunch of people like, oh, you guys are ninjas. And this type of conditioning affects society. And it allows a certain degree of anti-black racism to become normalized in normal settings. All right. So there's a lot of people who may disagree, and y'all can feel free to come up. And we're going to have this conversation today. We're going to have this conversation. What do you got to say about this, Easy?
Outrageous. Outrageous, everything between. I haven't watched the roast yet. I have been seeing little clips. I didn't see this one, so I'm glad you played in the beginning. But I have been seeing little clips of it, and I thought it looked okay, from some of the clips I've seen, but I didn't see none of the YT comedians. This is the first one I'm hearing of. But I did see some commentary from other Black Americans talking about how this is not the first time, because I know they did that to Flavor Flav. I remember them doing that with Flavor Flav. Being very racist and using Flavor Flav as a proxy to come at Black Americans specifically. So I'm not really surprised, and although this is a roast and this is where you're supposed to like get, cooked up and, roasted by your peers and things of that nature. Again, they do use this as I keep the tinfoil bottle on. They use these type of things as humiliation rituals as well, so this could have been something that the brother had to go through, in order to get accepted further into YT Hollywood, because we know that he's already, kind of climbed his way up at this point. So yeah, I'm not surprised that they did have somebody come up there and say something egregious. Like you said, they love using the N-word. They love bringing up George Floyd specifically. These people, the anti-black racists that whether they're comedians or not, they love bringing up George Floyd and, trying to find a way to make that funny, because they think that they don't, see the value in our life. So of course they, find a way to poke fun of it, and then they use these sort of platforms to be like, oh, well, it's just a joke. Oh, well, he laughed, because apparently from what people are saying, he was laughing. Kevin Hart didn't stop and say, oh, that's inappropriate, or, afterwards apologize to the family or say, hey, y'all, I don't think that was something he should have said. So if he's approving of it, if he's laughing, then it's like, oh, well, yeah, what are you guys so angry about? You guys just always want to play victim. You're always mad at something because, oh, he was laughing. Some other black people on the panel might have been laughing. Some of the black people in the crowd may have been laughing. But all of them are not the representatives of the black community. You know what I'm saying? So for them to get up there and say something like that and be that comfortable, I mean, it just shows the level of anti-black racism that is accepted worldwide. Because like you said, other groups are not like this, especially them small heads. Okay, I don't even think you can't joke with them people unless you are one of them, to be honest. And even that, they gotta tread tread lightly. So yeah, we have to be careful, and they always love to project that onto us, that we want to be victims or something like that. But when it comes to their groups, these other groups, it's all, the standard is at the sky. We have to be respectful. We have to, appreciate culture. We have to be, mindful of people's feelings and people's ethnic groups or racial groups, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to black people, moreover black Americans, we at the bottom of the barrel, we get disrespected like it's nothing, So yeah, absolutely egregious. Kevin Hart, this is that's a bad look, for him to get up there again and not correct that. That's a bad look for him. But I'm not surprised for the YT comedians. The YT comedians be the most racist people. They just use the comedy or the humor to get away with the anti-black racism. So egregious, but no surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not. It's a bad look for Kevin Hart, because it all falls on him. Even if he didn't say anything at the time, the fact that he didn't show any uncomfortability from what I've seen. Now, I don't think they showed his like facial reaction or anything like that, but the fact that they didn't show any type of incomfortability from him, he wasn't shocked or disturbed from what I've seen. I'm trying to give as much benefit of the doubt, but everything I've seen, I'm talking about this man was damn near falling out his chair for every single joke, you know. And you saw even when the audience was like, "Damn, hold on," the audience kind of paused that, right? So, hey, okay, Kevin, this was your stage. So it ultimately does fall on you. BX, what do you got to say about this? And then you set the decorum and get the room
I don't know.
started.
I see our dark humor side of the lineage has entered the chat. I don't really like roast. I love comedy, but not roast. So I really haven't heard of this until just not. Now, somebody mentioned we wouldn't have survived like the Richard Pryor days. I guess we'll say Eddie Murphy and stuff. And I did tell myself before the world has gone a little bit sensitive, but I also think the matter of George Floyd, they could have picked anybody in the world, and I say that to say this: they always use George Floyd as a talking point right now. Now he's the subject of comedy. I just find it weird. Like, leave George Floyd alone, let him rest. He could have picked anybody in the world, any other instance, but for some reason they want to go to George Floyd, and I find that horrible, horrible. But I love me some Richard Pryor. I love me some Eddie Murphy and stuff like that. And I want to say to the people in the chat that says, BX, so you're saying anybody else is not credible, but as long as black people do it, it's okay? See, I'm a foundational black American, and my community gets to dictate what we will and won't accept. We don't live our life according to white tea standards, right? We dictate what we will accept for our community. That's why we're making sure that Jamaicans, Haitians, and all these other folks can't identify as foundational black American. We make the distinction. We make the decisions for our community, and y'all are running amok. So now we're discussing it to find out if we're going to allow George Floyd to continue to be a talking point of the ignorant, because I'm sick of y'all. That's what I'm going to say about that. I don't know too much about it. I don't watch roast. I like old school comedy. Bernie Mac, all divine honest to the ancestors, they are funny, but I do think we have gone a little bit sensitive. But George Floyd, I'm getting tired of everybody with his name in their mouths. Give him some respect. Let him rest in peace. Pick anybody else in the world, but let him rest for a little while. Thank you.
Now,
And with that, that's my thought.
I want to add to, first off, we don't even have 5,000 likes, and we almost got 250 people in here. Everybody, let's tap the screen. I know we got a lot of George Floyd haters up in here, but y'all can tap the screen too now, okay? Don't be salty. Tap the screen, all right? My thing is that not only did he make a joke about George Floyd, it was the implication when he said, yeah, George Floyd is looking up at us, implying that George Floyd is in hell.
That part.
That was the implication he made with George Floyd. So it's when it comes to it, they think they're slick, but no. There was an implication with that. It's not like he made a joke about George Floyd and it was just in bad taste. No, you're trying to imply something, which really means you're trying to imply something about George Floyd, and this is your way of getting stuff off your chest.
Right.
All right. And there's a line between being sensitive and all that. I don't think that Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy or Bernie Mac would have made us a joke about a real person who was murdered.
Yeah.
I don't think that I've never seen them go that dark with it. Okay.
Yeah, what I was gonna say about
Hold on. We're gonna BX, you can set the decorum, and then we're gonna get to the room.
Sure. So thank you to everybody who came up and immediately went on your mute button. So I want everybody to take note of that. Please come up, go on your mute button, and when directed to speak, please lead with your ethnic group. And if you're over 18, pronouns are not required. So ethnic groups, really fast. Yeah. You are a Black American / African American, even if we don't like that term, or you could identify as a foundational Black American. If you could trace your ancestors to an 1870 USA census, we do not do the Americas. If you have not traced your direct ancestry to an 1870 1870 census, then you are your parents' country of origin. So if you are, your parents are Nigerian, you're Nigerian American, and the same goes for Jamaica, Haiti, so on and so forth, right? TikTok friendly language only, which you're unsure to that what you could say, please spell it out. We'll get it. Also, code your words in the chat. This is not me being strict. TikTok is strict, and we're trying to maintain the integrity of the live and keep the conversation going. See the Orange Heart by Afro Elite. So I am a foundational Black American, but I'm just saying, if you can't trace your ancestors, then you ain't a Black American to 1870 USA census. The Orange Heart by Afro Elite. Click it, complete your daily mission, claim your points. It unlocks some really cool gifts that you can give to him. He does have a subscription plan. He has 3 dedicated super fans. Okay, I am one of them. Also, he has a gift goal. Also, the likes do not match the number of people in the room. You can get him up to at least 20K. So go ahead and I'm gonna say this. If you have 0 followers and 0 following and you're talking a lot of crap, I'm just go ahead and bounce you because that's a fake backup page and you're too scared to come on the panel and, voice your opinion. So please don't be a comment thug, but request to get up in the box. I guess we'll go for maybe 3 hours because I got to leave early. But Afro could stay up and deal with y'all minions if he, no, I'm joking. Y'all like that joke? But yeah, I finished Afro. Oh, cameras. Please, if you turn on your camera, make sure there's nothing that can be considered un-TikTok friendly. No puff, pass, no fumes, no liqueur. And we should be fine. I think that's it, Afro.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's get to Candy. Candy, sister, how you doing?
How you doing, brother? Hey,
good.
guys. Hi, everybody. Okay, y'all. So I was listening to what was said, and I think that it's dangerous, and I don't like it. I think that we have to start saying something about this type of behavior. Remember the BAFTA Awards. There was an excuse why he yelled an incendiary. I'm tired of that. The racial epithets and incendiary seem like it's just ha-ha, jokey joke, but it's disparagement humor, right? So what that is often framed as harmless, right? So research indicates that disparagement humor can have negative social effects, such as fostering discrimination and normalizing prejudice. It operates as a releaser of prejudice, encouraging individuals to express biases they might otherwise keep hidden due to social norms. I wanted to become a social norm to continue to keep it hidden even when you're telling your little stale jokes because your jokes didn't land well. I don't know who you thought your audience was, but it was inappropriate. It's like it was done in a paradoxical nature, right? So let's talk about it. When you look at what happens when someone makes jokes about a group of people who are disenfranchised, who don't really have a lot of the support behind them, you're demeaning them and you're taking advantage of their lack of power to nip things like this in the bud. These things are happening so often because they feel like we're the underdog. The fact that he made a joke about something so egregious that enraged the world speaks volumes to his character. And yet, when other groups are insulted, even in a joking manner, action is taken immediately. I think it's time for us to really let our politicians know we are absolutely zero tolerance for this, and we want an anti-Black, anti-FBA hate crime bill, and we want it yesterday. It's time for this stuff to stop. It's not funny, and I blame Kevin Hart for sitting there with his little Eminem head and not saying nothing. And this isn't joking, we love the TikTok shop, but I'm tired of this. This is just getting carried away. Everybody got to stop chasing the bag and learn when it's time to open your mouth. Like, you at least have your dignity and respect. Like, stand up. I know you only 5'1", but stand up. And I land.
All right. Appreciate that. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Let me hear from my brother Dave, the business bully.
What up? What up? What up, family? Peace to the chat.
How you doing?
Foundational Black American. I can trace my ancestors back to the 1600s. Thank God I am an FBA man. Now, having said that, what I'm going to say is not going to be very popular, and that has never stopped me before. I've been a stand-up comedian since 1997, and I understand the importance of free speech, whether we like it or not. Do I think what Tony Hinchcliffe did was good? No, absolutely not. Do I think we need to start impeding on people's rights to say whatever it is that they want to say? Absolutely not. Because when we start doing that and we start getting our way in that, what winds up happening is we get distracted from the things that we really need to take care of. Like to the point that Kamala took off them pearls and chucks, got on Air Force Two, and made sure them Asians got that Stop Asian Hate bill in 38 days. But we still got the George Floyd bill sitting there. I care more about the George Floyd bill becoming law than I care about random, closeted, gay, Jewish, small-hatted, love TikTok shop man getting a joke off. That does not affect me every single day. The other part of that is, had Eddie Murphy or Robin Harris or anybody who was hot, 10, 20 years ago been in this environment today, they would have been canceled left and right for half the stuff they said. Do you think Bernie Mac's "How about some milk and cookies" would fly in this environment? It wouldn't. Do you think Eddie Murphy talking about Mr. T getting, wanting to get plugged in the behind, you think that would have survived today? Absolutely not. So we live in a very, very soft town. And my whole thing is we got to stay focused on what absolutely matters, which is reparations now, cutting the check, making sure these folks get out of our way and stop just grandstanding on issues that in the grand scheme of what foundational Black Americans have in front of us is not as important. And I'll land there.
Okay. Interesting take. I'm gonna circle back to that, but we're gonna get to the room. Though. Let's get to the next person. Let's get to Beautiful Flowers FBA.
Thank you. I'm of FBA and I trace back my family to 1630, North Carolina. I just got to say this. Kevin Harts remind me of people I used to work with, Black people, who wants to get ahead of the game. They become a biscuit eater. You understand what I mean about that? And only thing I see about Kevin Hart, what I can do, when every time he makes a movie, I do not go and see it. I just don't like him. Never did. He has that character of, I won't even say that word either. I just say biscuit eater. That's all he is. So like I said, I use my money not to see none of his movie. He could be in the movie and I still won't go and buy tickets for that movie. I never did like him. So sorry, people. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's get to.
Wait, Afro, can I say this? There was a comment, and the comment said the Jewish would not accept it. It's what all the people saying to get over it. How many of us have lost our wealth but offended one of them folks? I'm just saying we get to dictate what we will and won't accept. But I totally get Dave's viewpoint. I do think that we have gone kind of soft, but there still has to be some type of cultural boundaries and stuff. And the Jewish are a prime example of that, Alan.
Since we're on here, where is the line drawn? Because the last conversation or the last live we had was about Chud the Builder, who's going around in Nashville, Tennessee, openly calling Black people the N-word with the hard ER. If he said he was just joking, where does the line of you just joking and we're being too sensitive, where's that line being drawn? Because if they can get away with this, what is stopping them from just being openly able to say, well, under the guise of being a comedian, I mean, technically speaking, who Steven Crowder calls himself a comedian. If anybody wants to make a joke at the expense of Black people, where's that line drawn? Okay. Because Bernie Mac and all of them, they didn't say what they said on a roast. So people like, no, it's different on a roast. No, okay. No, we had us. Yeah, we're gonna get into it today. We're gonna get into it. All right. Let's get to JD GAF.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
How you doing?
Yeah, chilling, man. 37, Los Angeles, FBA in there. I agree. Honestly, I was about to drop after bro down below me, man. The business, man. I was about to drop after he said all that because I agree with a lot of what he said. Although, you know what I'm saying, like that dude that's walking around Nashville, I mean, in my opinion and from my experience, he won't be walking around for long. I mean, we'll see, because shit happens. And that's the consequences of his actions. But there should be no legal consequences other than if it boils down to like outright harassment. I mean, I guess you could claim that. But as far as comedy is concerned, I agree with business. You don't have to like it. I don't. I don't even like Kevin Hart. I don't think he's been funny in a long time. But the First Amendment, man, that thing is important. And I hear a lot of people talking about tiny hats. You know, I've been to some live shows of Tony Hinchcliffe's and of many of the people on that stage, including Kevin Hart. And they make fun of them too, all the time, constantly, without pause, relentlessly, actually. They peddle conspiracy theories about that community. But the difference between us and them is the tiny hats over there are currently lobbying this orange dude in office to set up speech laws and to set up consequences for disparaging them. So either we need to get rid of that or we need some of that for ourselves. One or the other. Free speech is under attack, and I think that the most dangerous thing in all of this is the idea that you can't say what you want.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into that. Because this leads pretty well into the free speech argument. Okay, we'll get into that.
Also, it wasn't just because it was live, it was because it was recorded.
We'll have an open panel in just a second. Let's get to Love Life.
Yes, how you doing? I'm 34. I'm Black American. I could trace my family back to, I want to say that's South Carolina, to about like around the 1700s, 1800, around that time. But for me, I feel like we kind of have to back off, not back off, but also pay attention to, like, Kevin Hart wasn't the only black individual within attendance, nor was he the only black individual up on that stage. While he should have said something, somebody should have said something. Not just Kevin Hart, somebody else could have got up and said something. What his word meant the most, because it was his roast, yes, but it was more than just him up there as a black individual who actually had the chance to get up there on the mic and say something. And the only person that I've seen, from what I've seen, that really got up there and said something about what the guy Tony said was, I think that was Cheryl Underwood. She kind of addressed it, but she addressed it with jokes, of course, but you got to get past, like, we have to, like, hold other individuals that was up there accountable as well. I kind of feel like they used the whole George Floyd thing. It's wrong on how they do that, how they go about joking about that. But us as black people, even in our communities, it's kind of like the individuals in our families that have indulged in a certain way of life, as well as doing a lot of drugs and things of that nature. We kind of clinch on to those people and give those people more love than we do the ones who actually is leading our family within the right direction, far as well as doing something to better themselves, not on the rugs, and really pushing for our family to do different things. I grew up in the project, so when I say this, I'm also a person that's experienced this as well. So I seen in my family to where it is that, a person that's going to college, it doesn't really get the same support as somebody who's in and out of jail or who is on drugs or whatever. They don't get as much of the family support as that individual does, nor like the family, just coming around them. So is it a lot of people in my family that went to college? It's not as many as the ones who was on drugs and things of that nature. But the way my people and the way that people supported those things and even came together for those things, it seemed like the people who did the badder things or the things that we would deem bad, they had more of the family support than the individuals who were going somewhere in the right direction. So I kind of feel like us as a people, we kind of, to an extent, we kind of need to change our views, change what it is that we get behind and support. Because in our community, we support a lot of the wrong things, in my opinion, especially from what I see.
Okay.
So.
All right. We're gonna get to the next speaker, but I'm gonna say something from my experience. That's not true. And I I don't like the narrative that black people only support other black people when they doing something wrong. I'm not sure where that's coming from, where black people don't support black people getting an education and black people don't support black people getting a good job and a good career, and all we like is getting in and out of jail. I've seen a lot of graduation parties. I've seen a whole bunch of high school graduation parties, college graduation parties, send-offs and everything. I ain't never seen no jail party. I've never been invited to no prison party. I've never been, and I'm not saying that they don't
And
ever
what I'm
happen,
saying
but
is, I'm
I'm
not
just,
saying, I
but
wasn't saying that it was more so a
I'm,
prison party
hold
or
on,
them throwing a
brother. I'm
prison
just saying,
party.
like, for,
I didn't say that. I just said more so the support and the support
but the
that that individual
narrative,
gets.
okay. But the narrative that black people who are doing right don't get supported, but black people who are doing
They,
wrong get
all right.
supported. Um, I would push back against that. I have
I
some pushback
understand.
against that. But
Understandable.
let's continue. Let's get to A, and then we can have an open panel.
What up, Afro? What up, family? It's AY. Just so
AY. Thank you.
it's all good. It's all good, brother. Thank you. I'm FBA. I'm half FBA on my dad's side. Trace my lineage back. To your point, Afro, you made a very good point. Is like, by us looking at black people, oh, we only support this or we only support bad things. That's actually giving, the dominant society more reason to make these kind of jokes at us, because if we're going to be like, we're not together, then they're going to jump on it even more, and when it comes down to like anti-black humor, it's like that's literally been what is our entertainment based off of, is literally making fun of us. So while I do agree that there's some things that we we shouldn't focus on as much, but we also have got to make sure we cover all our bases. This is a celebrity thing. This is just you get engagement and all this stuff. The guy who made that joke, he did that on purpose because he knew what kind of reaction we get, because now we're all talking about him. But we also do have to hit every single aspect of anti-blackness, because we know if we give them an inch, they'll take a mile. So we have to be able to say, hey, we got to take the lower stuff and we got to take the bigger stuff on too, because we can chew gum and walk at the same time. So by handling things like little things, because little things turn into big things, and also handling our bigger issues, we need to be out there on all fronts. Because for example, if we look at the small hats, they don't take a joke without being said something. They've got other issues. They're not gonna pacify this like, oh, it's no big deal, unless it's someone like Elon Musk doing stuff. But they're always gonna make a point to say, no, we don't agree with this. This is not okay. And I think us as FBA at least have to be able to point out that, yeah, no, we will handle things on all levels, not just reparations and a crime bill. We also got to stop this anti-black humor that's meant to trigger us, not just in the sense of comedy, but it's actually meant to trigger us, which is why we also need an anti-black hate crime bill.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Everybody, let's tap the screen. Come on, we almost at 20K. We can get to 50K, y'all. I know y'all back and forth in the comments. We can get to 50K. All right, let me say this. For the people arguing the First Amendment. I noticed, and I said this when I made my video about Chud, the people constantly arguing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment is always argued, or mainly predominantly argued, when there should be some type of social pass for anti-black racism. That is the time when you hear people talk about the First Amendment. What the First Amendment of the Constitution was about is the fact that you are able to say things, you're able to express yourself technically within limits, but your thoughts and your words will not result in legal consequences. Unlike before, where if you spoke against the government, there were legal consequences for you. Now in America, if you can speak against the government and there's no legal consequence, what people are taking the First Amendment to do is they're trying to exploit it by saying, not only should there not be any type of legal consequence, but there should be no social consequence to anything I say because of the First Amendment. And that's never how the First Amendment has been. To be totally honest, the First Amendment is not even unlimited when it comes to the legal consequence, because there are still things you can say that can get you legally in trouble. So that's not that. When people talk about the First Amendment, that's really just their big excuse to use the N-word. All right. And I think this is a little bit more serious than what people are saying, is because if we're talking about the anti-black violence and targeting that that we receive, we have to talk about it from all avenues. And I do understand the argument that society has grown more sensitive. I agree that society is much more sensitive than how we were before. And we quickly have grown into that. Okay. And some things we have lost the plot about. Okay. I don't think we're losing the plot on this. I don't think so. I think, honestly, if Bernie Mac or Richard Pryor was there, I think they would have said something. Even if they said it in a joking sense, I think they would have caught it and said something. See, so there's a level to understanding, you know, there's humor, but okay, why, if you're trying to say something against me, if it's a roast against me, why is my community being attacked? Why is somebody who is a victim, which is what he tried to do, he tried to de-victimize him, okay? Which is what they do when they make jokes about George Floyd. Or George Floyd really wasn't a victim, really, for real. And that's a dangerous thing to do. When they try to remove George Floyd from actually being a victim, which is what he's tried to do. When they try to victim blame George Floyd, or say in some way he had it coming, which is what he tried to do. Okay. Now, friend, in the chat room, you're asking questions. I'm not going to respond to questions in the chat room. I'm letting that be known right now. So if you have a question, you can come up and say, and you can have that conversation about it. And we'll talk about it. You know, as far as, you know, black people getting their priorities and all that stuff, I think, and this is one thing that I will give other communities that. I will give them that, because when other communities receive a joke like this, their community is not at all quick to give it a pass. And I think it's very problematic when black people see this and want to give excuses away or passes given. I don't think that this should be given a pass, because this sets a precedent that will only be amped by the next person. And they will only try to do this more and be more egregious with this. All right. And that will only lead to worse conditions. So we have to understand that these things don't exist in a vacuum. If this was a private thing and somebody recorded Kevin Hart, put a bug in his house, and this was him on the phone in a leaked phone call, maybe this would be different. But this was live on Netflix, and this was televised. And he said it knowing it was going to be televised. So these things don't exist in a vacuum, the same way that minstrel shows didn't exist in a vacuum. These things do lead to consequence. The jokes about black people being lazy. These things lead to biases. These things confirm or create or subconsciously ensue biases, implant biases. Okay, and reinforce those things with humor. So I can't say that these things this should be overlooked or this isn't a conversation worth having. That's my stance on that. Now we have an open panel, so if anybody wants to come up and say something about it, anybody wants to weigh in on it, you know.
Want to reiterate that when people are bringing up other communities, what about the Asians? What about that one? They dictate what they accept and what they won't, because the Asians don't accept a couple of things either. Like in New York, they wouldn't accept our children going to a so-called elite public school that their children primarily were in high numbers, right? They wouldn't accept one of their own officers being penalized for unaliving a black man. They wouldn't accept a lot of things, right? They won't accept a new shelter going up in their area because they primarily think it's going to be filled with black men walking around. So they get to dictate what they're going to be mad at. Just because they're not mad at a joke don't mean that we don't have to follow their lead. We get to dictate what we're going to be mad about, and we're discussing it. And this is about foundational black Americans. We don't have to go to Japan and all them people, right? They get to dictate everything about their culture. This is us dictating what we are going to accept and what we shouldn't, and what we're going to start putting cultural boundaries of. You know what I realized today, Afro? I was watching a replay of one of my lives where we were talking about the Freedmen's Village in Arlington, Virginia, and they mentioned the U.S. freedmen, which is our ancestor status. We're actually a protective class. Like if we get the government to enforce certain things, a whole lot of people gonna be upset because we ain't gonna accept just anything from people. We've accepted it too long. We dictate what is good for us and what isn't. So that's all I want to say about that.
Yeah, that make a lot of sense.
May I add something? I'd
Yeah,
like to add that no one tolerates disrespect in a joking manner. Like if someone it disrespects you blatantly, and then they like, you be like, hell, that's not funny. You thought you was slick. You try to play it off like a joke, so I won't check you. No, you're not gonna talk to me like that. You're not gonna your little nasty comments away. And I think that what if that joke becomes a tagline, like Kevin Hart's jokes? Some of those like, help me. When we all say that to each other sometimes, like laughing, what if his joke becomes a tagline and his friends use it in conversation? Then they'd be wondering why the heck the black guy next to him is ready to, go off because he's being insensitive and he doesn't even realize that joke is about to put him in a bad situation. So I honestly believe that it was insensitive and it was disrespectful, and he needs to watch his mouth and it needs to be taken seriously. And I'll land.
I agree.
Excuse me. I didn't hear the joke.
Hold on. Let's let our brother Foundation go ahead.
All right.
Peace, family, peace, Afro. Thank you for this live. I'm glad you're making a live about this subject. Shout out to everybody on the live. The one thing that I'm trying to understand, if these MAGA influences don't like the black community so badly, if we such a nuisance and you like to throw your wells, or never something degenerate, 3% of our community do something bad, you like to throw your wells in it. Why do you keep showing up in our spaces? Why did he keep showing up in our? I don't even know why he even got because he's a MAGA influencer, the MAGA comedian. That's what they kind of tag his name as, right? So my thing is, why do they keep showing up in our spaces? It's almost as if nobody cares about what they're talking about, cares about what they're saying. Nobody cares. They don't have the influence, the global respect, the global acknowledgement, and the global acceptance to the point where they have to show up in our spaces. Their spirit, pretty much, that was all projection. Let's be clear. That wasn't jokes. That was all clear projection on what he felt, his racist views. That wasn't nothing about it funny, about nothing he said. It was so lame. He got a monotone. Like, it was not funny. So and the fact that, and then from Just With The Mess said that everybody in the room was not laughing. It was quiet, and they kind of edited the laughs in after. So those laughs wasn't people laughing. Kevin laughed, which I'm kind of concerned on why he laughed, and I guess he want to get the paycheck. What's so funny about that? It was nothing funny about what he said. So I'm trying to understand why Kevin didn't at least say, all right, family, let's take it easy, something. Like, let's chill out a little bit. You're doing a little bit too much, because all his jokes was about the black community. I don't understand. You can, it's so many ways, other things to make a joke about. It seems like your only niche is to talk about the black community, the things that the stereotypes of the black community. That's not funny. It's not jokes. It's not comedian. Nothing, right? So I'm trying to understand, one, why is he in our space? Two, why is Kevin Hart laughing, right? And we all know these stars are not on code with us. Three, like, I'm trying to understand why he even allowed to get that platform to be up there, knowing I'm sure Kevin Hart knew he's a MAGA influence. I'm sure Kevin Hart seen his content before, or the people in the room seen his content before, so they know what kind of jokes he has. So why is he in that room? That's what I would like to know. So again, he knew this was going to create an outrage. He knew that nobody know him. I never heard of him. Anybody heard of him before this? I never heard of him like that, to be honest with you. But that's the thing, is like, they know they're not known outside of being in our spaces and saying something, shout out to ZZ, egregious like this, right? And so I'm gonna land on that.
Yeah.
Well, my only position, I like I said, I didn't actually hear the joke, but my position on that would be that racist jokes have been told for a long time. The only thing about us, we're the only ones in modern day history who were ancestors were enslaved. So it don't sit right with us, no matter how you look at it. If it's a racist joke, it sit different with us than it would with anybody else, because our ancestors were enslaved, and we've been going through it here. And even though we've had breakout moments, but still, no one else has been through what we've been through on these shores of America. So it's just different with us. I land.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now let me say something too, right? If he made, now for all of the people like, it's just a joke, it's just a joke, it's just a joke, and y'all being too sensitive and it doesn't matter, okay. If he made a joke about, let's say, Jeffrey Epstein. Let's say he made a joke about Jeffrey Epstein. It was like, I met Jeffrey Epstein and he seemed like a cool guy. Do you think that joke would have went over well? No, that joke wouldn't have went over well, and nobody would be sitting up there being all like, hey, it doesn't matter, it's just a joke. People would be talking about the social consequences and the actual harm that Jeffrey Epstein had caused people. And people will be saying that that's no laughing matter. Nobody would be sitting up there trying to gaslight the victims and saying that, oh, it's just a joke. Y'all being too sensitive. Oh, he's gone. If he made a joke and implied that Jeffrey Epstein was in heaven, nobody would find that funny. Okay, and he would immediately have done an apology. Okay, and everybody would have been like, that crossed the line. There are real victims of Jeffrey Epstein and all of that. Yet when it comes to black people, we're supposed to pretend as if our victimization shouldn't mean anything if it's mocked in a quote unquote joking sense. So I can't give, there's not, can't slide. I can't.
Yeah.
Hey, can I say something?
Wait, let me add this real quick.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's let Dave say, because he hasn't said anything.
Go ahead. Yes. Okay, so let me break something down to you. I think Tony Hinchcliffe is not funny. I think he's reprehensible. I think he's honestly a piece of shit. And I'm sorry, I don't want to cuss. But even when you look at what he does in his own situation, he has a very huge deal with Netflix. So does Kev. So I don't really think it was up to Kev to be there. But any way you slice it, what he said was reprehensible. I absolutely abhor what he said. I do not condone stopping his right to say it from a performance standpoint, because comedians getting censored over something that they said or something they apologized for is the same thing Kev got victimized for when it came to the Oscars. Now, to your point about Epstein, which is a very valid point, Afro, I want to point your attention to Ricky Gervais when he hosted the Golden Globes not once but 4 times, and he talked about how everybody in that room was friends with him. And the room was shocked. He was like, yeah, I know he's your buddy, but let's call it what it is. And they called him everything but a child of God beyond that. The stage is sacred. Unless you've done at least 15 minutes in a comedy club and had to make 300 people laugh, you don't understand how hard that is. Aside from all of that, When you start doing it to one, it's going to roll downhill in a really hard way. Now, does that mean that if you go and you say something you ain't supposed to say, that somebody out in these streets ain't going to touch your gums? Absolutely not. By all means, you get what you give. But say whatever you want. You free to do so. That does not mean you won't get got. Having said that, though, when we talk about the small hat juice box people, yeah, the reason they don't let it slide is because who controls the diamonds in this country? They do. Who controls Hollywood in this country? They do. Who controls the majority of the deli meat packing in this country? They do. Who controls all of Hollywood in this country? They do. So they have what's called a financial, cultural, and luxury power base, not to mention they've got an agricultural power base. We do not. So until such time as we get all of those things lined up, yes, it's important, but it should not be our priority. So if that is more important than us fighting over the fact that the majority of our children in this country are not reading at grade level, that the majority of our children in this country live in designated food deserts and all they want to do is hand your grandma insulin instead of giving us fresh food, that the majority of our people in this country are not set up to have life insurance, whole or term, but we're focused strictly on a joke about a man when the bill that is based on the man's egregious, shout out to ZZ, murder still has not been passed, but the Asian hate bill got passed. All these laws to protect illegals get passed. I think our priorities need a shift. That's the only argument I'm making. That's that. Period.
We do have a power base. We have a power base. We need to stop spending our money with these Asian places and everything else that's moving into our communities with their businesses. They count on us. They ain't counting on us.
Let me.
That's not a power base. That's an economic spend.
That was a power base back in the day.
Hold on.
Which is power.
My response to that is I do understand your concern about where our priorities are. Okay, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to get distracted. That's not what I don't think this is, though. I'm gonna be honest, because this is our first time even bringing this up. It's not like this has been a ongoing conversation for months and months, and this is just something that we can't let go. But I mean, this is something that does have consequence, though. And socially, we can't have an opinion on it. If he said it publicly, we can't have an opinion on what he said. If he was to say something about if he was to say something about other groups of people, they understand, even if they have a power base or not, they understand that it has consequences and something needs to be said about it. And what we're saying is that this also has consequence. His joke or his statement has consequence, and something needs to be said about it, at least from our community. And we should not even if we're not saying that there should be legal consequences, it should not be allowed. There should be at least a social stigma that prevents him from saying that. Because if he can say that, what is to prevent him from getting up on the stage? My thing is that where's the line being drawn? What is to prevent him from getting up on stage and then just blurting out the N-word and calling everybody in the audience a slur? And then saying, well, I'm on a stage, so therefore, like, this is sacred ground and nothing can be said about me. And I do understand the tightrope that we have to walk about policing what a comedian says. And I do understand the over punishment that black comedians do face. So I do understand that concern. And if you punish one, then it will trickle down to now every single black comedian is on a tightrope, which is kind of what we're seeing today.
Phenomenal. I agree with that. Here's what we do, because I'm all solutions based. If foundational black Americans really want to make a stand, if y'all really want to hurt Tony Hinchcliffe, if you really want to do that, let me give you some business education, respectfully. All of y'all cancel y'all Netflix immediately, right now. Also, put Kevin Hart on notice that you won't go to any of his shows. You won't support anything Hart production does, anything that he does coinciding with Nick Cannon, any of the Plastic Cup Boys, any clubs that he's affiliated or associated with. Shut all that down. And then, by the way, start a financial pool for the production company that he just quietly walked away from that has unemployed a myriad of foundational black Americans. You got to hit them in their pockets if you want to hurt them. But you're not going to get a law passed on that. Hell, we can't get a law passed on us being unalived.
egregiously.
That's right.
Shout out to ZZ. So my whole thing is, if you really want to make a statement against Tony Hinchcliffe, make sure that you, number one, go ahead and put out a press release. Number two, have a grassroots movement, the same way we have grassroots movements where we say we're not going to get gas for one day and we black out our screens, but actually go and never sign up for Netflix again until Tony Hinchcliffe is completely removed. Any of his products are completely removed. Then you go to the WWE because he always does a roast after a major pay-per-view. Go to the WWE and said every single foundational black American who watches pro wrestling will now no longer support WWE. We'll go rock with AEW or we'll go rock with TNA, but we're not supporting anything the WWE does as long as they have a relationship with Tony Hinchcliffe. Until such time as we do that, then what else is there? But that's the solution. You want to hurt him, make sure he feels it that way, and then he won't make those jokes if you don't like it. But don't impede on his right to do so. Impede on the consequences for him being more discerning in how he does it.
Right.
Okay, and I agree with that. I don't want there to be miscommunication or a misunderstanding because I wasn't trying to impede on his right to do so. But I was saying that.
Not you, bro. Just speaking generally. When I say you, bro, I know you. Like, I got your number.
I just want to be.
I mean, so I'm talking generally to the foundational Black American society that is up in arms. Cancel your Netflix. Cancel WWE. Cancel anything that Nick Cannon does with Kevin Hart. Cancel anything Kevin Hart does, and then you'll get a change. Other than that, we're wasting our time.
That's our base. That's our strategic base.
Well, hold on. We got a couple more speakers up here. Let's get to the.
Can I chime in? I'm sorry. So I got 2 of those down pat. Yep. I don't have Netflix. Don't like Kevin Hart, so I haven't been watching his shows too much either. So I got 2 down pat, y'all. Y'all join the team, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, my Netflix been done a long time ago, so that's not a problem. I need so the brother gave out all the details. If you can, since you starting that up, I appreciate that. We're gonna definitely we need that in a list so people can have something that they can definitely go behind, and we can have a list of things that we can do. Because you said it, but people not gonna be able to remember. So if you can get a list down, so we can really make that happen. I'm not playing. I'm down to make that happen for real in real life. I'm not just talking. So if you can make that a list, I'm down for that for real. I already canceled my Netflix already, and I don't mind canceling no Kevin Hart. He's been cooning and chucking and jiving up there, so that's not a problem with me.
Sure. I'm using somebody else's Netflix, but still. But also, I would rather take the wolf rather than the wolf in sheepskin. So yeah, I do believe they should be able to say what the hell you want, but absolutely, consequences got to be there.
Okay. All right. Let's get to Unwritten.
Hey y'all. I agree with the sentiment. Every community has their boundaries ultimately of what is and what isn't acceptable. And what they're willing to do to make sure that people don't cross their boundaries is going to look different, I guess, to business's point of what's necessary. I think trying to measure our power or what we need to do based off of what other communities have done or do is a little bit null and void, given the fact that we have a different level of influence and we have a different level of social capital. There are certain things that we don't necessarily have to do in order to get what it is that we want socially. Because the issue here isn't so much of the First Amendment right, it's about what is socially acceptable and what isn't. We don't necessarily need to change or impede upon people's First Amendment right to do so. Because ultimately the First Amendment right is solely that the government is not able to restrict your speech, not socially what's acceptable. Like the N-word, for instance, is protected under the First Amendment. However, socially, that's unacceptable, right? And we've made it socially unacceptable, not by canceling Netflix, not by boycotting, not by doing any of those things, but just simply stating that, hey, this is, if you want, you already know there's some consequences if you do this on an interpersonal level. We don't have to necessarily engage in a social movement for that, and we never had to, right? So us making things socially unacceptable are things that we've done in the past, and we have the social capital to do. And I find the conversation shifting towards First Amendment, I just find that a little bit disingenuous, to be honest. So I think, with this conversation, we're discussing the boundaries of what is and what isn't acceptable for these different communities, of how they interact with us. And we have some big issues. We have the Hispanics getting out of hand, using the N-word. That's needing to be checked. You have all these different communities thinking, respectively, shit sweet, and if we continue to just allow for people to say whatever it is they want to say, I mean, what's stopping that from increasing? Like someone mentioned up here, we have a history of people utilizing jokes to exercise racism against our community. We've had minstrel shows, whole industries of comedic acts that is quote unquote jokes, right? And blackface, all these different things. So we are no stranger to the way in which racism is being used as a scapegoat by using comedy, right? So it's just, at the end of the day, it's just for our community. I need for people to pick a side. You know what I mean? Either we're going to be okay with anyone saying anything and doing anything, and we're just going to roll over, or you're going to actually establish some boundaries and say what is and what isn't acceptable from a social level. But I'll land there.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let's get to Halima.
Hey, peace to the panel. I think I've been on here like once or twice before, but if y'all don't know, I'm Black American. My people are from Kentucky. I just wanted to like echo kind of what Unwritten said about this situation, because I know that we're like talking about the Tony joke, but like there were several jokes in the bit, in my opinion, that were very cringe. Like him, I think it was like Shane Gillis that came up there and said that Kevin Hart's ancestors came in on a boat, in a bottle, like came in on a boat overseas in a bottle or some shit like that. And it was like an Aunt Jemima joke that was aimed toward, forgive me, I forget the sister's name, Cheryl Underwood, that was aimed toward her too. It was just so, I kid y'all not, like if y'all go and actually try to watch the special from the beginning, literally, yeah, sure. Yeah, yes. Sorry about that, but like it literally was so cringe from the beginning of the show, and literally until Regina Hall got up there. Like everybody's right, like literally all the YT comedians that got up there and said anything were literally like, it was almost like they were using it as an excuse to be racist. Like, and I feel like there's a difference between edgy comedy and just using the opportunity to say how you feel or get it off your chest about whatever it is you feel about Black people. And that's what was going on. I think like there's a difference between that. We have our Dave Chappelle's and Eddie Murphys who give us the edgy comedy. Like you literally have like the Dave Chappelle with the alphabet community in the car. Like that joke was actually funny, and the little bit of pushback that he did give back was not to the point where we had to cancel Dave Chappelle. It was actually a funny joke that even people from that community were laughing about. So I think there's a difference between that and then you getting up on stage and talking about George Floyd is looking at for somebody. That's stupid. And like, I think he deserves everything that comes back with that, because first of all, if we're going to talk about roasting as an art, that's a Black American thing from the onset. We roast each other, but it's always respectful. You come out the house with no lotion on, we're going to talk about how ashy you are. That's simple. You know what I'm saying? You come out the house and you didn't comb your hair, we're going to talk about how you didn't comb your hair. It's just real simple. Like, but we not gonna be going up and be like, nigga, you ain't got enough money to eat. You ain't got enough, your ancestors. We ain't doing that. That's weird. Right. So when YT people come in our spaces trying to act like us and trying to take our art form and make it something, but they're literally getting off it's coming from a white lens. Like, everything has got to be about a slave ship. Everything has got to be about an ancestor. Everything has got to be about a Black officer killing an unarmed Black man. At some point, has to be some regulation. And I like what Unwritten said, it's the difference between like a freedom of speech thing and you proving yourself as a comedian, because then I'm asking you, if these are your jokes, what else is in your repertoire? Because, like, everybody that I'm watching, like, y'all not even funny for real. Like, none of the jokes, if it didn't have this stuff in it, it's not even worth watching. So why give it the attention in the first place? Like, it's just like, I don't know how y'all can sit through that kind of stuff and be like, it's comedy. Like, it's like, and I'm not saying y'all personally, I'm just saying people in general. But, like, I don't see how people can sit through stuff like that and be like, oh, it's funny, but it's actually disrespectful. Like, there's a line of respect that has to be had there. And we as Black Americans reserve every right to check whoever is coming off weird. Because if we don't, then we're going to have these little white people walking up to us in the store talking about, ha, you seen that skit about him talking about George Floyd looking blah, blah, blah. No. That's disrespectful. So, like I said, just that's my whole point is that there is a difference between edgy comedy and people just saying what they want to say because they're actually racist. And I'll win.
You
I just
know,
want to
don't we hold our own accountable for slavery jokes? Steve Harvey comes to mind. I want to say Leslie. I think her name is Leslie from Saturday Night Live. She said something about being a super slave. So if it tastes less, yeah, we will get on even our own. So we hold everybody accountable, even ourselves. So I'll end there.
yeah, I just want to get to a point of and shout out to the brother Business Billy. But I just want to get us to a point to realize even in those circumstances, if we quote unquote didn't have the power, or I don't know if that's what you was alluding to, didn't have enough power to make that happen, then the Mexican police officer wouldn't have got fired, right? She would have still had a job, right? We have the power to do it. We got to stand up and have conversations like this. Now, do we also need to get on ground and be boots on the ground and make sure we do that also? Yeah, but we could walk and chew gum, right? We can, set bills. We could do that, but we could also, let our grievances and talk about our grievances, because this is part of the power. This is part of the soul power, letting it be known where the line is drawn also, right? Making videos and letting it be known we're not going for that. This is what the YT people are actually scared of. Shout outs to Black Twitter when we was making them lose their jobs in business because of that same very soul power going online and letting it be known and making them lose their jobs and showing where their jobs at in the businesses and they losing everything. So I think we could walk and chew gum. Do we have to do things that's boots on the ground? I 100% agree. And anybody that have any ideas, that's your lane. If you got any ideas of what we should do, and create a list, and that's your lane, and start it up, and make that happen. We rallying behind you, so we can go ahead and continue to do that, right? Because I'm down for the action also. I'm with you.
Because power bases are created. They're
Yeah.
created.
If we put our heads together, we can definitely do something. Black people have been doing stuff like for years, to be honest. There's been so many racist folks who's lost jobs, who's lost scholarships. I mean, you got every single Karen out there after they viral video, they going, I love black people. I didn't mean it. I had a little bit too much to drink, and that's why I said that. So, like, yeah, no, there's consequences now. There's consequences, but the consequence needs to come from the community as a collective. Okay, if only one or two people get mad and you don't want to seem as if you're the sensitive one in the group, so you don't say anything, and there's no response by the overall community, then they're going to be able to get away with that. For instance, if they did this with the small hat community, they know the ADL would be right on it. They'd be making a big statement and all that stuff. They know their community would have a response. Our community needs to use whatever ability we have as far as canceling Netflix or putting the social stigma on them. We need to do that and make a response. Remember when Dave Chappelle, when he came out and he asked people to boycott his Dave Chappelle show on Netflix because they had him in a bogus contract. And in about a week or two, they said, okay, people completely stopped watching that show in support of Dave Chappelle. So the heads of Netflix came to renegotiate Dave Chappelle's contract, and he thanked the black community for that. Okay. So we do have the power to remove stuff. Even if you say, I'm going to stop watching Kevin Hart's movies. Any movie that Kevin Hart's in, I'm going to stop that. There's going to be an immediate shift. And okay, well, hold on. We see our numbers plummeting. Wait a second. I didn't condone that joke at all. There's not going to be that whatsoever. And then he's going to become a social pariah, which means no other community is going to want to really deal with him like that. Nobody else is going to want to have him on. He's going to become toxic and radioactive for anybody else to. Netflix ain't going to have him no more. Hulu ain't going to have him. Amazon Prime ain't going to have him. They are like, whatever you did with Netflix, I don't want that over here at Amazon. Okay. So that can very easily happen. But we have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Everybody has to be on the same page as far as that's concerned. All right.
Yeah, I think they know better. They know exactly what they're doing. They even did a little special on SpongeBob. You know, my daughter's 8 on SpongeBob, where SpongeBob was roasting Sandy in his stand-ups. Sandy got mad. SpongeBob had consequences. He changed his act. So they can't say they don't know better. They do know better. It was in SpongeBob for crying out loud. They know better. They know what they're doing.
I'm gonna say something else as well about the First Amendment. I don't think a lot of people understand this about the First Amendment, right? The First Amendment was established because there was a certain time when the Europeans, they came from certain kingdoms and things like that, were speaking against their government, the royal family, anything like that, or their quote unquote superiors could lead to deadly consequences. And the reason for that, even back during the time where you had court jesters, you have to think the court jesters came and they didn't really make fun of the king. The court jesters would come and they wouldn't make fun of the king. They wouldn't make fun of the family or the kingdom. They would make a joke of themselves, and they would make entertainment really of themselves. Or if they told a joke, they would be the butt of the joke. They would not joke about the king. And the reason why that was there is because they understand that these jokes can shape the way certain people are depicted. Okay. And certain people are perceived. If you're joking about the king, let's say you're joking about the king being fat, then people are like, yeah, the king is kind of fat. The king is kind of short. The king isn't really that strong. Now that I think about it, you know, it starts to become this thing, which is why any type of joke, oh yeah, that head gotta go. Because they already knew, like, hey, that one joke leads to another joke, then that leads to rebellion. And we don't really want a rebellion now, do we? So we're going to stop that at the first joke. Now, in America, that's why it was so important to have the First Amendment right. To say you can disagree with the people in power without that consequence of the government coming and pretty much taking you out. Even though technically, you know, we get into a little conspiracy, we ain't gonna say the government still do that. Okay?
You know, car crashes you
very
happen out
much
of
so
nowhere.
does that, but that's another conversation.
Right.
They don't admit to it. Okay? They say it was a car accident or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, I keep the tenfold bonnet on anyways. You got the tenfold kufi on as you should. But but yeah, even even black comedians understand this as well, because a lot of black comedians, you know, we bringing up Bernie Mac and Dave Chappelle and some of the other black comedians, a lot of them already know where to stop the line at, or how to toe the line as well, because they might say, you know, things about different groups. You know, Dave Chappelle said things about LGBT, you know, Bernie Mac and things of that nature. However, they also know where to stop. They also know what could get them canceled within Hollywood. They also know where the line is, where Hollywood will start cutting off their resources or cutting off, you know, their access to certain things, in certain places, certain positions of power, or positions of, you know, attention, you know, being able to get certain levels of attention. So they already know how to toe the line. They know who not to talk about, you know, and that's why one of the brothers came up here and said, oh, well, you know, some of these comedians, they say all they want at some of these live shows about the small hats. Well, yeah, the small hats, but you're not talking about on a stand-up. You're not talking about on a recorded show that's about to go on national television, or it's about to have national streaming on the national streaming service. Those sorts of jokes don't make it to those sorts of, you know, stand-up shows, you know, that are going to be recorded. So when we're talking about that, again, these people, they understand, black and white. They both understand where to draw the line at, and that's because they know who's in that position of power and who can cut their damn wood off. Okay, so of course, you know, black people, we can cancel our Netflix subscriptions, you know, things of that nature, but it's still not the same. You know, people are saying, "Oh, we worried about it's about First Amendment, it's about your rights of knowing what this free speech," but we're not the ones that's taking away their free speech. These other groups, the small hats and some of these other folks that get a little sensitive, they have the power to literally take away these people's positions to have free speech, or at least a platform to practice their free speech, you know? So it's definitely not the same. And these people, all of these comedians, black or white, again, they understand where to toe the line when it comes to other groups. And when it comes to Black American, it's free damn range. There's disrespect no matter how we feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yo, real quick, bro. I wanted to say, man, because I'm a huge fan of comedy. I mean, I've been in the comedy industry for a little bit of time, man. I've done some writing in the past. And, you know, comedy takes the shape of what's current. You know, you got Obama, he came in, he had 2 terms. It really kind of like fired up a lot of the racists in this country. You know what I'm saying? They didn't like that shit. And then Trump came in and he gave them a voice. Now they screaming from the mountaintops. And ever since then, ever since 2016, there's been increase in racial tension in the country. And I would say that a lot of figures and media, they amplify this. You know what I'm saying? They like to paint the negative picture. I heard the host earlier talking about how, I don't know nobody that had a prison party. Me neither. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of very successful FBAs, you know what I'm saying? And no one talks about them. They just live on. You know what I'm saying? They're not highlighted. But comedy is going to grasp onto whatever's current. If racial tension is current, they're going to grasp onto it. If OJ or Rodney King is current, they're going to grab onto it. They're going to make jokes about it. And so I speak from somebody who lives in Los Angeles, who's been to some of the Kill Tony shows at the Belly Room, at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood. This dude has been doing this shit every Monday for nearly 15 years straight. And I'm talking about every single Monday. He does a live show that airs on YouTube. And as of the last 5 or 6 years, those shows on YouTube every Monday have gotten between 1 and 7, sometimes 10, 15 million views. And during those shows, it is the edgiest, sickest, most debaucherous. I mean, it's not everyone's type of comedy. It's very dirty, very racist. It's just, you know, some would say it's terrible and evil. You know, I honestly think a lot of it is funny. You know what I'm saying? I do. I grew up in an area and during a time where jokes was the least of our issues. But to say that, like out of nowhere, this Tony Hinchcliffe guy just popped up and look what he's saying. Look at the shit he said. Nah, he's been saying shit like this. And not just about black people. He says it about every community, including white. Even during the 2024 elections, his most popular character in his show's history was Shane Gillis depicting Donald Trump. And not in a favorable way to Donald Trump. They made fun of him extensively in all regards, covering everything that we know to be true about Donald Trump that they lie about. So I'm just trying to give a little perspective. This guy is an edgy comedian. He's all about shock value. Given the proximity to, you know, other famous black comedians and black people and the number of black comedians that Tony Hinchcliffe himself has mentored and launched into the scene to go on and become famous themselves, such as Cam Patterson on Saturday Night Live. I won't say that he doesn't hold racial bias just because he has black friends and he's mentored black comedians. I won't say that he's not racist, but I will say that he has a market and he plays that market really well. So, I mean, this is not new. That's why I'm listening to all of this. None of it's new to me. You know, you guys, shit I heard at that roast, that shit was somewhat light.
Well, I haven't seen this guy or heard of this guy before. And if he's quote unquote mentoring black people or black comedians, they need to find another mentor because first of all, he's not funny. People did not laugh at his joke. He's not big like that. People didn't even know about this guy beforehand. Second of all, they wouldn't want to say a joke like that either. And comedy does reflect reality. Okay. And I get that. And I understand that. And I appreciate comedy too. I think comedy is necessary in society. I think comedy can be used to empower people in society. It can be, and it has been. Comedy has been used to start social movements and revolutions in society. So comedy can be a weapon used for empowerment That's true. And I don't want to infringe on people's comedic rights. I do want to add, though, that comedy has consequences. That's all that. And I've been saying that since the very beginning, right? I've been saying that since the very beginning. He's joked about Donald Trump, yeah, but he's been at Donald Trump rallies and shown support for Donald Trump. So if he has joked about Donald Trump, it's very much so in a joking sense. I feel like if he told an edgy joke here or there, maybe. But if every single joke he tells is black, 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 N-word, 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 black, black, N-word, George Floyd, N-word, N-word, I'm like, okay, is that a joke? Are you joking? Or are you trying to say something for real?
Right.
You know, that's my thing with that.
It's a little cowardice, to be honest, because them people are very passive. That's something like they use the comedy to hide behind their anti-blackness or to hide their anti-blackness, but it's very passive aggressive. They know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I heard someone earlier talking about how they think that he tried to sneak in there that George Floyd was looking up. I promise you, just from knowing his style of comedy, that wasn't snuck in there. He wanted you to know what he meant by that, and that's what I'm talking about with this style of comedy. There may have been a higher ratio of black jokes given who was being roasted at the time, and it did seem like he was on rapid fire. It was almost incoherent at times. But I will say that if anyone, I don't recommend you do watch his shit, but if anyone does, really just watch one episode of his regular show, Kill Tony, on YouTube.
We're not going to watch it. Stop shouting them out.
Definitely not watching.
And like,
Let me ask,
can we talk
let me
about?
ask you this. Let me
Sorry.
ask you this. Do you
I
think
like that she
he's
said that because I right before saying that,
you kept
I
saying
don't
it, and
recommend you do it.
it's getting stop it, because it is getting a little odd that you're all like, yeah, and you watch your show at 7:00 p.m. and it airs every Wednesday evening. It's not like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
working for his campaign a little bit,
Nah,
but let me ask you. Do you think that his quote unquote jokes are completely divorced from what he actually thinks in real life? Do you think that he does not believe any of his jokes and his jokes do not reflect his thoughts and opinions on social issues or anything in society? Or do you think his jokes are an extension of what he already believes? His biases, his thoughts, his opinions, and his ideology?
Yeah, that's important. I mean, I'm not trying to promote a show. I'm just trying to provide
Can you answer
perspective
the question,
into the
please?
person we're talking about.
Can you answer
In
the question?
regards to someone making a joke.
I need you to answer the question, dude. Answer the question. You're avoiding the question for a reason. I want y'all to notice that. Answer the question, sir.
I'm in the process. I'll make it shorter for you. Out of the mouth, the heart speaks, is what the Bible teaches us. So there's truth to every joke. No matter how crazy or stupid the joke is, there's truth to every joke.
If he
So I
made
believe
a
that there is.
joke, okay. If he made a joke, because there are some people who joke about children videos, and I'm gonna just be PG for that because we're on TikTok. If somebody made a joke about that, is there some truth to that joke too?
Yes, I mean, yeah, there must be, because if it's within your mind and heart, then there is some truth to it. If someone's making jokes about being a PDF file, then deep down inside there is an inkling within them, at least, that is such things. So, I mean, that's what I truly believe. I don't think you can really just spew shit out of your mouth.
With that standard, you would believe that he is racist, then, right?
100%. I mean, yeah.
Because you tried to make the okay, hold on, because now we just moved the goalpost a little bit, because you tried to earlier make the excuse that he joked about Donald Trump and he joked about all these other communities, given the implication that it's fair game with him. This is his quote unquote edgy style of comedy. Now you're saying that if you joke about something, then there is a seed of truth to that, or you to a degree believe that now. Okay, so when it comes to joking about the harm of other groups of people, then you have to kind of believe it a little bit to make a joke about it. But when it comes to making a joke about the harm of black people, then it's all fair because you make jokes about other people as well too. You see how you just shifted your standard depending on who's being victimized. You see that? Or did y'all see that as the audience?
No, I mean, I don't believe I did that at all. I mean, I'm just painting a picture of the broad spectrum of how his comedy plays. I mean, there was a point in time earlier in the years where there was an incident between him and an Asian comic, and there was like a 4 month this thing that just went on with him making constant Asian jokes. And during the time of Trump's first presidency, this guy was a liberal in Los Angeles. I'm saying before he moved to Texas during the CV-19. And he would make constant jokes about white Republicans. No, there was no end to the jokes. Very degrading, very demeaning, it was a thing because it was popular then. You know, making fun of white Republicans was very popular in 2016 because they had burst onto the scene with Trump. So I'm just telling you, he's an opportunistic shock comic. And I think you guys are applying so much to his one set here without looking at the broad spectrum of comedy.
No. We're not applying anything to his one set. This is an overall conversation really about how the whole roast went. He's not the only quote unquote YT comedian who made a racist joke like that. A dog whistle. I wouldn't even call it a joke. He's not the only one who came up there and gave racist dog whistles. He's not. And the George Floyd quote unquote joke was not his only joke. So you're trying to say that we're taking his joke out of context to the rest of his comedic style, but you earlier conveyed that you have to somewhat have an inkling of believing that or having an ideology of that for you to even make a joke like that. So let me ask you again, do you think that his jokes are completely divorced from what he actually believes in?
I mean, well, there's a conflict there for me because I have to simultaneously adhere to what the Bible teaches me versus what I personally believe.
And what does the Bible teach you, though? What does the Bible teach you exactly?
I mean, it teaches us that words are powerful and that there are really no such thing as jokes, and everything you say matters and has an effect.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And it's really hard to live by biblical principle, especially in this world. And so I struggle between the two, trying to understand humor and comedy while also looking at the man making these statements and saying to myself, should I even be watching this shit? Should I be supporting this shit?
But, what do those initials stand for that you have? What those initials stand for? Is that just don't give a F?
Oh, that's JD gives a fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that because I want y'all to see how the standards start shifting. The standards start shifting, okay? Because it's a joke that we don't understand. He jokes like that about everybody. Then if it's another community, he has to believe it. Now he's bringing up the Bible teaches me to do something. Okay, you're moving the goalpost.
Right.
And that's enough. And I'm not going to sit up there and keep going on and on and on all day long about that.
And don't forget that he don't
several times.
And don't forget that he has black friends and he taught black people. You know, the black friends, the thing that they like to throw out every time somebody call them out on their BS.
And can I just say this too?
I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in here.
Sorry.
Let her go. Let her go.
I think too, like context matters. This is a celebration for a black man, and you making jokes about George Floyd. Like you don't have nothing else in the bank. Like you didn't want to make a Renee Good joke. You didn't want to make a joke about the other guy. Like it had to be George Floyd because he was on the ground looking up. That's the guy that you picked. I think that matters. And like, I think people like, there's a, you could even bring up like the Family Guys, the South Parks of them all that have these jokes that literally go on every single body. But I've seen so many instances where Family Guy has gotten canceled for a season for some shit that they said, where South Park has gotten canceled for some shit that they said. But just because this Tony guy is saying it, we supposed to sit back and laugh and kiki. All right, buddy.
Well, I mean, look, you're not supposed to do anything. I mean, this is a consumer-based market. If somebody doesn't like what he's saying, they should boycott him, Netflix, all that shit. You know what I mean? And social consequences are very real. And I do believe that they apply in this scenario. You know, the only reason I joined this panel is because I heard people talking about speech loss. And that's what concerns me the most. Not so much the comedy. I mean, I'll just, you know what I mean?
What concerns you exactly? What concerns you? What concerns you?
Because I think the speech laws are dangerous. And before I heard anyone talking about speech laws concerning this roast, mostly they're talking about speech laws concerning the tiny hats, because that was where my focus was really. I mean, I wasn't really worried about or thinking about, you know what I'm saying, comedians so much. You have all these incidents. I mean, and you guys have said a lot. You said that I've moved goalposts. I think that I've offered disclaimers, like the guy just below me who said that, oh, he has black friends. Like I was trying to make a point that he had black friends, while in that same point I said that I don't believe that having black friends makes you somehow not racist. So I don't understand how you could pull that I'm trying to rationalize Tony Hinchcliffe's behavior by saying he has black friends, when I
You
also
keep
within
saying
that
his
same
full
statement said
name.
that
You
I don't believe
mentioned
that
his
he's
show. I
racist.
think you're full of baloney. And then you're tiptoeing around certain things that you're saying for other
He is,
groups.
yes,
So
he
you're
is.
perfectly comfortable with respecting people's boundaries when it comes to speech. You're just up here to antagonize us with these cute words. You're not funny. You're not cute. You're not slick. You can knock it off for real. Honestly, you need to get down. You lucky. I don't have a mute button. Cause
Look,
you playing right now. And say his name
notice,
again.
Candy.
Hey,
Notice
Destiny's
I mean,
Child.
if you guys,
he kept bringing up. Oh well, he clearly you know a lot about this guy. I didn't know who that was beforehand. You knew. Oh, he lived in California in 2016. Then he got a divorce with his baby mama, and she took the kids, and she stayed in California. Then he moved to Texas in 2018, 2028. You know a whole lot about this guy. You are somewhat of a fan. You know his channel. You know everything. You know about his personal life, where he lived. Oh, he used to be a liberal back then, but then he voted, and then they lost the election, and then next thing you know a lot. You know surprisingly a lot about this guy. To not be a fan, like, oh, I don't really care for him that much. You know a lot about some man that you don't care for that doesn't nobody else knows. It's not
We've
like
been
he's
His
calling
whole
him the
big
vibe,
like
comedian.
that.
his whole
Where is he
vibe
from?
is
Where is he? What's his ethnic
just.
background again?
What
well,
did
I
you
ain't
say your
trying to
ethnic
be.
background is? What did you say your
I'm
ethnic
black,
background was?
FBA all the way.
Where your people
I mean,
from?
look, all up,
Where your people from? Stop.
Georgia, Texas,
Oh, with your
Terrell,
mama and your daddy? What
Maumelle,
about your
Arkansas,
grandma? Grandma.
late, like 1789, South Carolina. What do you mean? I
Oh,
mean,
stop. See there, you ain't. Oh, you
yeah.
naming too
Like,
much
what are you
stuff. We
talking
don't go
about?
through all
And
that. No.
she's talking about. I remember the shit that
Why
interests
you
me. I
say
mean,
that
I
man
got I
full
got
name?
people.
Why you keep saying his full name then? How come you
I
ain't
mean, you
mad
want
like
to
us?
cancel him? Why not say his full
Are
name?
you FBA? How come you ain't mad too?
Okay, let
See
me
how you
ask you a
playing?
question. What do you think about George Floyd?
George Floyd. I think that he was. I think that he was a sacrifice to implement some sort of social program to incite racial tension in the country during the
Y'all see
pandemic.
that? That's exactly why.
See
That's
there?
why he's okay with that. That's exactly why he's okay with that. Because notice the people who are somewhat okay with George Floyd jokes, they already have some negative sentiments to George Floyd anyway.
Right.
All of them
Yup.
do.
Saying
Everybody
that
who's
George
okay
Floyd
with a
was
George Floyd
sacrificed.
diss,
How's
they
that
feel
negative
some
about George
type of way
Floyd?
about George Floyd, period. And
Man, for real.
and they're glad that people are saying it. That's what it is.
No,
You
not
know
me.
what?
Be
You that
clear.
got one black
Be
friend,
Where?
aren't
clear.
you?
Not
You
me.
that
I
got
mean,
black friend,
nobody
ain't
else. My
you?
black ass? No, I
See?
ain't for that.
See?
Where?
You the black
I
friend
mean,
that he
I
be
don't
like, he got a black friend. It's
know.
you, right? See
I don't know
there?
what y'all talking about,
Got
man.
your butt.
You know what I'm
He
saying?
was a social
When the police
experiment.
pull me over, they say black male over their radios. I'm not sure what y'all
Benji,
talking
oh
about, but
boy.
yeah, I'm chilling.
The cops
I
make
mean,
say,
look, do
first
y'all
off,
wanna
hold
do y'all wanna op
on,
or do
stop
y'all
it,
want an echo chamber?
stop talking. The cops may say black male, but I don't think you do. That's the thing. I don't think you do. And I don't think you FBA either, to be honest with you, to be very honest with you. I don't think so.
Think he's a foreigner?
Where were you born? Where were you raised? What state were you raised in?
I was born in Sycamore,
Uh-oh.
California.
You were
Grew up
born
in
where?
Terrell,
You were born
Texas.
where?
Moved back to California.
You were born
Sycamore,
where?
California.
Southern California.
Can you
And
hear
your
me?
parents are from where?
Yes, SoCal, Texas,
How old are you,
Texas,
sir?
Arkansas.
How old are you? How old are
37.
you? 27?
Yeah, I'm 37, bro. And I'm honestly, look, man, if you guys want to drop me because you don't want no ops up here, that's fine.
Why you call yourself the
No, 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 no. Let's talk about. Let's go in there. You think that George Floyd is you say that again?
Social sacrifice.
He's a social sacrifice.
Wow.
He's a social sacrifice for who? Who benefited off of what happened with George Floyd? Don't mute yourself now. Who benefited?
Realized I was muted. So look, you just railed against what I said about George Floyd, and now you're asking me to clarify. So
I'm asking. No, I'm asking since we're having a conversation about George Floyd. I'm asking since you feel like he's a social sacrifice, which is why you're defending the negative joke about him, which is what you've been doing. Why do you feel like he is a social sacrifice?
Okay, so first off, I didn't defend anything about him. I just added
You have a
perspective to
hard
the
time
person who
answering
made the jokes.
questions? You have a hard time answering questions. I asked you a question. Why do you feel
If
like
you
he's
make
a social
multiple
sacrifice?
points, if you make multiple points in the question, I'm going to have multiple answers.
I asked a very specific
he's a social
question.
sacrifice because
Okay, go ahead. He's a
Okay.
sacrifice because of what?
so the incident that happened, counterfeit 20, allegedly he had schmugs in his system, whatever. Bro kneeled on his neck. You could see it in his eyes. I don't want to be too much of a conspiracy theorist here, but I believe in programs that are confirmed to have existed, such as MK Ultra, Mockingbird, such as.
Oh, quit it! I'm from Minnesota. I know people who knew him.
So are
Quit
you
it.
saying that Derek Chauvin? Are you saying that Derek Chauvin was or was not the cause of his unaliving?
So I'm saying that Derek Chauvin, in my opinion, if I'm gonna just try my best to not get flagged for misinformation, I'm gonna say that Derek Chauvin was possibly MK Ultra'd into what he did to George Floyd, and it was egregious.
Oh,
It was
miss me with
public.
that. I'm
It
in
was in
Minnesota.
broad daylight.
Let's
I
let
know
him finish,
people
y'all. Let's
who
let
know
him
him.
finish. This is comedy.
If
y'all want to know what comedy is,
yeah.
this is comedy right here. His brain. Okay, go ahead. So he was MK
That's
Ultra
fine.
into doing what he did. Okay.
Help me,
Yeah, true. I mean, look, the truth is stranger than fiction sometimes.
Okay,
bro.
and
But listen,
why?
man,
Why? Because
this is what I believe.
they just MK Ultra. Okay, they MK Ultra Derek Chauvin to get at George Floyd. Why? Because they would have to have made sure everybody was there to see it and everybody was there to record it and for it to go viral.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what
Okay.
happened. So look, if you really
well,
remember,
for what purpose though? Because they don't. And here's the thing with conspiracy theorists such as yourself, right? Y'all will say, well, that's a conspiracy. That's a conspiracy. Conspiracies have reasons to them. And I believe in many conspiracies, but there's a purpose to the conspiracy. They don't just do stuff just to do it. There's an overall goal they're trying to reach with this thing. So what did they gain with George Floyd?
right? So if you'll allow me to kind of like set it up and then conclude it.
All right,
without
I'm listening.
interruptions, hopefully. So if you really pay attention to the video of what happened to George Floyd, Derek Chauvin's actions, they just fall so far outside of reason. They fall so far outside of humanity, even by these fucked up modern standards. He wasn't resisting. He was having trouble breathing while in the backseat of the car. He asked to be taken out.
No, we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. I'm asking because you said it was MK Ultra. You said they use microwaves and 5G radio towers to brainwash Derek Chauvin into doing what he did against George Floyd, and I'm asking you, what was the purpose of that? Why did they do it? Not what happened, why? What did they gain from that? Why would they do all of that?
Right, so him kneeling on bro's neck for that long, you know what I'm saying, on camera while people are screaming and watch, and then that being broadcasted to the world during a time when a lot of people are locked in their homes, glued to their phones and TVs. You know what I'm saying? Right afterwards, there was this huge like media push of it. It was on everyone's screen. We know that we see what they want us to see. If they don't want us on TikTok, we're not on TikTok. If they want you off of YouTube, you're not on. if they don't want you on CNN,
What's the
you're not on
purpose?
CNN.
What was the purpose?
They see the purpose was to create social tension between African Americans and white people. If the purpose is to create chaos, there needs to be chaos.
Yeah, but what it
They
is,
love chaos.
Okay, all right. Here's the thing, and y'all know he's making it up as he goes along. You can clearly tell he's making it up as he goes along. Let me ask you this, okay? So before the George Floyd and Derek Chauvin situation, there was no social tension, and they wanted to create social tension. Yes or no?
Mike Brown, Breonna Taylor, Orlando Castillo.
black people. Hold on, black people and white people were getting along prior to George Floyd.
Yeah, this you got to remember that this kind of like popped up a little bit with Trayvon Martin. That was the fuck up right there when they let
Was Trayvon Martin MK Ultra too?
No, not at all. That was just fucked up Florida law and favoring someone who wasn't black. But what I'm saying is that
How many incidents happened in Minnesota leading up until that one? That went public. How many? And how many after that one? Let's start naming them, shall we? With Dante Wright, Amir Locke, Winston Smith, George Floyd.
Orlando.
Right? Oh, yep. Who? What's his name? Say it with me. Say it. Come on, say it out loud. Say it.
Orlando Castillo.
Let's say it when you know. Shout out when you know.
Yes. Me right now?
And then we got George Floyd. Okay. So you had all of these incidents.
I got better shit to do.
And then you're going to sit here and play games.
Okay, hold on.
With
Okay,
us.
here's the thing. Okay, he left. We didn't kick him out. He left. We didn't kick him out. I like it when they explain. I like it when they talk. I like it when they do that.
We just talking about strictly Minnesota, y'all.
The reason why is because it exposes when people talk about, oh, y'all know the whole George Floyd thing was fake. Y'all know the whole George Floyd thing was that they want to get into an argument. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Oh, but you didn't see the full video because he didn't want to be in the car. Okay. Notice I didn't argue with that. Why did they do that? What was they created all of this. They brainwashed him. Okay, they sent lasers in Derek Chauvin's brain, and they must have done that every single time because he had 18 prior police complaints before then. He took the life of another person before that as well too. Derek Chauvin, that was not his first unaliving, if y'all didn't know that. But they did that specifically for George Floyd. Everything was the dots had lined up perfectly for them to do what? To create racial tension. Okay. Was there not racial tension before then?
Right.
Oh, well, yeah, there was. So what did they need to do that for? Notice when you start to really ask them and question them and interrogate them, why? The thing is that they sided with Derek Chauvin. That's what it is. Point blank, period. It was not no conspiracy. It was not no cyborg, cybernetic, alien thing. It was not none of that. It wasn't no damn lizard people who made him do it. It was that Neanderthal brain that made him do that. Okay. It was not none of that extra stuff. Okay. And you saw the more he explained, he said it was a conspiracy, and he kept going over and over and over because he's making it up. Okay. He was making it up as he goes along. Anybody who feels that way about Derek Chauvin, just ask, George Floyd, just ask them, and they'll make it up as they go along.
And mind you, I mentioned all the people right here in Minnesota that happened to, just within that same time period. I named all them people I named, y'all, was right here within 2 years of George. So he's full of baloney, okay? And I'll land. Go ahead, ZZ. I'm sorry, baby.
You okay? That's what I'm like, but I keep the tinfoil bonnet on. I think all black people should, or the kufi. But niggas like that give us a bad look. Okay, now I will say it doesn't negate the fact that I think again all black people should understand that our government and the dominant society have always conspired against us. But when you go into these things, and this is why even when the George Floyd incident happened, it was a lot of, or a handful of, like, he could have been a homegrown raccoon, because there was a couple homegrown raccoons I had to unfollow or stop rocking with because they was always a conspiracy. It was one nigga who was trying to literally reenact what happened. Like, oh look, I can still breathe. Look, he got a deal today. I can still breathe. How you couldn't breathe? So it was a couple homegrown raccoons on the conservative side that was, just a bad look. Okay, because ultimately, even if you do want to get into the conspiracies and all this other shit, MK Ultra, which I don't think that has anything to do with it. But if you were even to get into that, the bigger picture is there was a white T man, an officer, moreover, a suspected white T supremacist that was sitting on a black man's neck. I don't give a damn if he was on drugs, if he was on D-rugs, if he was a criminal, if he was whatever the hell else they try to say about George Floyd. This white T suspected white T supremacist was on this black man's neck for 10 minutes. That's the fucking point. That is never necessary. And so that's the part that they want to skip over to say, oh yeah, well, it was for civil unrest. It was for da-da-da-da. It was a psyop. It was to distract us from something. So y'all want to get into all of this bullshit, but you don't want to talk about the crux of the issue. That should never be allowed. That is nothing that is something we should never tolerate, or something we should just let roll off our shoulder because, oh yeah, it was a psyop and Epstein file or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what a lot of these conspiracy theorists lose a lot of black Americans specifically, because now you're trying to roll over anti-black racism to get to, oh well, hey, MK Ultra, and we gotta look at the. And it's like, first of all, half you niggas ain't doing enough about that no way. You want to talk about it, you look at YouTube videos all day for 5 hours out the damn day and worry about aliens and reptilians and shit like that. But you're not worried about the open enemy that's right in front of your goddamn face. It's knocking on your door, that's pulling up behind you. Okay? Because we have multiple, just like the sister just said, multiple incidents. In Minnesota, like she said, she was just talking about Minnesota. We're not even talking about incidents outside of that. So there's multiple, a plethora of cases we can go from there. There are blatant examples of anti-black racism. That's what the fuck we need to worry about. All this damn talk about MK Ultra, baby, you're feeding into a distraction your damn self, because we're rolling over justice. We need to be focused on getting justice, and that's what George Floyd deserved. Point blank, period. Let
me also add to second that point. First off, can we hit that the like button? Can everybody tap the screen? Let's mass tap the screen. Let me also add, I noticed, and I wouldn't consider myself to be a conspiracy theorist, although there are conspiracies that I do believe in.
For sure.
And I do think that black people should lean towards the possibility of those things being correct. Okay, let's remember the Tuskegee experiment was a conspiracy until it was proven to be correct.
Right.
COINTELPRO was a conspiracy until it was proven to be correct. So we have had in real time conspiracies that were proven to be correct later down the line. So all conspiracies are not completely false. However, I noticed that when it comes to there's a certain degree of quote unquote conspiracy theories that anytime it comes up to mentioning racism, they try to make this a conspiracy to really protect white folk. Okay? Or to protect the police, to say, well, actually, Derek Chauvin really didn't do it. They put a microchip. It was Elon Musk who put a microchip in his Tesla. He was driving a Tesla the day before, and he had injected a microchip, and he had no control over himself. Like, it's always something that protects somebody in the YT community. All right. And a lot of their conspiracies, no, you have to understand it was the Jews, and the Jews made them do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's always something that they're using to protect Anglo-Saxons, to protect Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't really them. They didn't want to put us enslaved. They were mind controlled by aliens, the same aliens that built the pyramids. And they did it so they can create some type of racial tension. And the Jews are from Mars. Like, it's always something like that.
Yeah. That's a fact. And Brother Dave said something good in the chat. He said there's no such thing as conspiracy theories. There's conspiracies and there's misinformation. Absolutely. Because these niggas definitely been conspiring. That's a fact. But also, niggas like that spreading misinformation is crazy.
But brother, we finally got our brother EJ in the building. EJ, talk to us.
I don't know if it was the radiation from them cakes from the Easy Bake Oven, but hopefully that brother can get to a straight jacket and get to a psychiatric ward, because that man was all over the place. I wanted to come up here earlier when he was talking, because I really wanted to hear what he was going to say, because it was going in one ear right out the other, just like his IQ level. Because basically you got to be careful with these people giving them platforms, because I think these people be getting paid in biscuit crumbs or loose pennies out of their grandmother's piggy bank when it comes up here to, just be putting all these, conspiracy theories amongst our black American brothers and sisters. But that's all I got to say for now, because I'm about to go get me some more money and stuff. I just got off the plantation, but I'm going to come back on. But I'm going to still be on the panel, though.
Brother. Make that money, bro. Make that money. All right, let's get to Doctor. Is that how it is pronounced?
It's whatever, bro. What's the word, man? So that dude, man, he got me seeing aliens now. I see them. They're out there. The truth is out there. No, but you made a very good point about some of the white tea truthers side. A lot of them cats like to mask their little white tea power fantasies with this grandiose aliens, underground city stuff. And it's like, all y'all are is just coping and seething about how little history you actually have. And so you got to make it up. Like you got to create a Lord of the Rings type thing. And now we got to buy into it instead of actually dealing with the real tangible issues in society today. So that's complete nonsense. That dude, he could be, this is another thing we got to consider. There is a cohort of lost FBAs, I call them, where their parents, for whatever reason, have raised them weird and outside of the culture. So they might as well be tethers. You know what I'm saying? Like they were too in the burbs too much, around white tea too much. They date white tea or whatever the case may be. And they're so disconnected from us that they start adopting these other people's ways, like with the anime and the video game culture, the anti-woke stuff. See a lot of supposedly black Americans getting down with that type of time. And I think it's because they're disconnected from us. Because I was listening to this incel cat, and he was saying, yeah, I don't feel comfortable. Black women don't like me. Latinas like, I'm like, this dude sound like a weenie because he's not getting gamed up by the OGs in his family. Like, where's your pops at telling you about how women flirt and all that? Like, there's a lot of disconnect because they separated the kids from the rest of us. So there's a contempt, othering type thing going on. And I really, really think that we need to, pay attention to that. But that's all I got to say on it.
Yeah.
Anime and video
Hold
games.
on.
I'm weird or not, but
Okay, hold on, everybody. Hold on. It says your live is not eligible for recommendation and restricted search results for 10 minutes.
On you,
Your live does not comply with the guidelines. Oh boy, we shouldn't be talking about them people.
Oh God.
Because you was dropping
Damn.
My bad, Joe.
1 minute, y'all. No. It wasn't you. One moment, EJ. You really was going in on the J word, the J people.
Okay. You said it wasn't twice.
You said about 3 or 4, and I was cringing each time.
It's okay. We'll wrap it up. Y'all make sure we get to 100,000 likes. Y'all got to come on. We got to really support. Okay. We got
real quick, back. Afro. I do want to say this about the anime because I've get some pushback. I want my brothers and sisters to understand that any type of medium you engage with, it's influenced by the people that design it. So you have to look into Japanese history and see how weird it is, man. Like, let's be objective here. I'm not saying you can't like Dragon Ball Z or whatever, but really be objective about the messaging that's getting to your subconscious. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying on that.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate?
There's a weird thing. There's a weird thing because there was one dude who came up and be all like, and you can kind of tell when they're not connected to black culture. There was a weird thing because the guy was like, oh, black people, in our community, we celebrate people going to jail and we don't put that much effort into people going to college and to people graduating. And I'm sitting up there thinking like, what black community do you live in? Where you see these stereotypes every day, like, hey y'all, Tyrone going back to jail, y'all. Okay, then where's the Hennessy at? Okay, and the fried chicken. Like, where is that? What communities does that happen in?
Right.
Okay. What community do we beat people up for getting good grades? I want to know because I just don't. The stereotypes that we live in that they say about the black community. Okay.
Look, I'm getting some serious pushback in the chat. Look, I'm not.
You should have left Goku alone, man.
Right,
I don't know how you said
this command railway. We love that DBZ, brother. We understand. We understand what you're saying, though.
Yeah,
He was just speaking out of term. He got that MK Ultra when it came to that anime. That's all.
Right. I got
the aliens.
When people be talking like that with the 10-4 Kofi, their fingers start glowing in the dark like ET. So you can't take some of these folks seriously.
No, it's all good. I'll break it down a little bit. So take an episode, I'll say Naruto, and run it through ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to break down the underlying subconscious themes. There's some weirdo stuff in there, dog. Like I'm not saying you can't enjoy it, but enjoy it responsibly. That's the problem that we're not doing. And that's how our culture gets weeded out and diluted because we're not understanding all the messaging. Edward Bernays with the cigarette companies and feminism, like all these things need to be understood when we engage with media. All media is propaganda, even if it's pro or propaganda. Right.
When are we going to
I guess
start
what I'm
breaking
asking,
down?
brother, my bad, I'm in the shop, it's a little loud.
No, you good, bro.
I guess I'm asking, what specific message did you see specifically that kind of took you back? Because I just want to know, I'm a little curious.
Right, I got you. So I don't want to get his live ban, but I will say the fixation on how do I say this? The younglings in a lot of anime circles is very alarming to me. Right? Have y'all seen what I'm talking about? You know what I'm not trying to say too much, but the fixation that they have on that is very weird. Like the neonatal childlike features, especially with see, she know what I'm talking about. That we got to chill. Like we do not want that to cross over from Eurasian society into our society. You know what I'm saying? Just because we like watching certain things. So that's what I'm saying.
I can get what you're saying, because in Naruto, he got sexy no juice, or something no juice.
Right,
I can't
that's
say that
hella
word.
weird.
Okay, I see what you mean now.
Right. It's stuff like that. You know, not everything is bad, obviously, but it's stuff like that. Like, because now I'm seeing, because I was talking to the homie, you got 13-year-old FBAs quoting Andrew Tate. That's not cool. That's not good. Like, we got to nip that in the bud.
Yeah, but we also got 13-year-olds out here quoting DDG and Gunna. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree. No, I agree.
I think we got to be a lot more discerning in what we choose to break down, because I have yet to see one person come up on this panel and say, hey, let's take Chat GPT, run it through a transcript of any Real Housewives franchise or any Basketball Wives franchise or any of these daggone Stars shows where we puming for 17
check this out, brother
seasons,
Dave.
and then talk about how it goes through our subconscious, and we got to be careful what we intake. Everything has a bad side. A knife can chop up vegetables, and it can also chop up a family. It depends on the user.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
That's a good point.
Like, we already talk about that, though. Like, we got tons of
But we ain't got
channels,
none of them shows canceled. I'm not talking see,
right.
For me personally, respectfully, no love, all in love.
No, it's love. I got
we do all of this talking, but we don't ever shut nothing down. Andy Cohen's still a damn near billionaire. Scooter Braun, damn near billionaire. Leor Cohen, damn near billionaire. Hell, Jimmy Iovine, billionaire. And they still rocking, and our community is still in shambles by the product that they push, but we breaking down Naruto.
No. I look. I don't disagree with that.
I will say, because of the restriction, we are gonna have to end this close, like, soon, before we get another restriction.
My bad, bro.
Get in trouble.
Just so we can protect it, because we don't want to go on like a whole week ban or anything like that. So before we wrap things up, let's get to Omega, because he hasn't spoken yet.
B1, peace.
B1.
Nice to you, bro.
Peace, B1.
I think the one guy that came up whose lineage is in question, I think he's like a good illustration of basically the reason that these type of roasts happen. We all know, under the system of YT supremacy, everything that you get is going to have some type of poison on it, like, regardless of what it is. So you got to be able to, like you guys were alluding to, have some discernment to wipe off what you can and get the little bit of fuel that you can get from it. That being said, the caller that came up, man, he's like, because you got so many fence setters who will sit up there and kind of use their melanin as a block for these people and their agendas and their points and that all out crazy bull. You know what I'm saying? You get people who are now emboldened a lot more, especially in the era of Donald, like, you gonna have that. And Kevin Hart, I don't like what was said about him, but at the same time, it's good because it puts a wider lens on exactly how these people feel. And if there's anything that can come out of it, let that be it. But that's my 2 cents, man. Be one.
All right, first to you, brother. Thank you. I'm gonna say this about when it comes to entertainment. We have to have a conversation, and this may offend a lot of people, but I'm gonna say it because I think it's very important and it needs to be said. We have to have a conversation about Gen Z and a lot of people say antisocial. It's not antisocial. I feel most people do not know what antisocial means at all. Okay. When they say antisocial, what they really mean is asocial, which is a completely different word with a completely different meaning. Antisocial pretty much means you have villainous intent to harm people. What they mean when they say I'm antisocial, what they mean is asocial. They don't really like socializing with people. Very different words with very different meanings. Okay. And the reason why a lot of people are like that is because most people in this age, especially Gen Z, as much as I love you, are socially awkward people, are very socially awkward. They do not know how to interact with people. They don't know when it comes to social cues and social behaviors and things like that. They're not that good at that. Okay. We've accustomed life to be able to be comfortable with people, and even younger millennials comfortable with people to interact pretty much solely. Your social life can be had entirely on screen and does not need to be had in real time, in a real setting. Right. So this is an issue where it's creating a sense of a lot of people call it what's that thing, introvert. But the thing is that introvert, people don't even really know what introvert means, because introvert does not mean asocial, where you don't like people. Introvert means where you like people or certain people in a limited capacity, which I feel like a lot of people are lean more towards being introverted. But the problem, and there's nothing wrong with being introverted, but the problem with that is the fact that people are being forced to be introverted. Okay, people are forced to do that, and I'm not saying it's wrong if you're like that to a certain degree, because to a certain degree, it's good. It protects you from danger and all of that stuff. But when people are forced to do that, it is because they are socially awkward. So they can only have decent interactions with a few people or for a short amount of time, because they are not conditioned to be fitting in society. Where does that mean? That leads us back to a lot of things when it comes to the gaming culture. That leads us back to the anime culture and all of this. A lot of these people are very socially awkward people. Okay. Not to go too deep, but go look at documentaries of, serial unalivers. These people were very asocial, antisocial, and socially awkward people. These are people who didn't have a lot of friends. These are people who everybody in the school said was a little weird, a little distant from everybody. They don't have normal human interactions. Now, it could be a socialized thing. It could be something wrong with their brain chemistry. But that is something that we're seeing in a lot of Gen Z, which causes them to compensate their social awkwardness with entertainment. Now, there's a good thing when it comes to entertainment. Entertainment can be good and empowering, but now you're seeing a lot of people, and it's not just Gen Z, it's millennials as well too. You're seeing a lot of that. They compensate the social interactions with entertainment, with video games, with YouTube, even with cartoons, with anime, which is why you see them like I like Dragon Ball Z and all the TV shows and stuff like that. I watch a lot of that stuff, but there's like a level to it that I see somebody like, do you go outside? Like, do you have real friends?
Yeah.
Like that. I don't compensate social interactions with entertainment. I don't use entertainment to fulfill the void of social interactions. Okay. And a lot of people And a lot of younger people are starting to do that, and that's starting to become a dangerous thing in society where that's normalized. Where now you're having more incels. And the reason they're incels is because they're socially awkward. Okay? Which makes them angry because human beings are naturally social creatures. Notice that a lot of these incels have very bad anger problems. They're quick to getting angry because human beings naturally are social creatures. And you don't have the cues in your mind to be able to have a healthy relationship with other people. And it makes you mad. You can't do what you biologically are designed to do, are craving to do. You crave other human interactions, which is why what they have that thing in prison where they lock somebody up in like a box. What do they call that? What do they call that?
Solitary confinement.
Solitary confinement.
Yeah.
Thank you. Solitary confinement.
Oh, we call it the hole.
They do that for a very brief amount of time. Okay? Because too long solitary confinement can lead to actual brain damage. And there's been studies about this because human beings naturally, they talk to other people. People who have been in solitary confinement for too long will start talking to themselves because that's just what people do. All right. So that's a very dangerous thing. And they become very asocial. They start to hallucinate and see other people who's not there. It's a very dangerous thing that happens to the mind. So that might need to be its own conversation, honestly. But Foundation, you want to add to that?
No, I was going to say that. I was going to say to your point, and I seen that literally. That's literally what happened. I seen someone that was normal, foundational, everything. What's up, man? How you doing? Then months later, start screaming randomly. Oh, you all right? Oh, nah, I'm just going through it. They still talking. They kind of know him, but they screaming. And then out of nowhere, a couple months later, they literally schizophrenic. Like they going crazy. They talking to themselves. They defecating on themselves. Like it's real. When it gets real when they get locked up, depending on how long. Now they have a new rule that I think you can only be there for a few weeks. Usually, I knew someone before that rule. They was in there for like 2 years, 3 years, depending on whether it's state or county. Yeah, it gets bad. So they really start to lose literally their minds. Sometimes with just being in that, they call it the hole. We call it the hole, but yeah, solid confinement. But they start to lose their minds when it come down to that. Yeah, it gets real. I seen it first.
Oh, we can't hear you.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I seen it firsthand. That I literally seen somebody go from sane to out of their mind in a matter of months. So yeah, it's definitely no joke for real.
Yeah. Yeah. And we got to have a conversation because we're losing a lot of our youth, man, to that. Social interactions and all that stuff. People don't go outside and play no more. People don't want to go to. I mean, I've seen at certain parties and functions, people are staying against the wall and they're talking to the people that they came with because they don't like to talk to new people. Okay. And a lot of that, social media is a part of a lot of that because there's a lot of social anxiety to that. Social media has changed the standards of a lot of things. So a lot of that, and people don't want to be caught off guard and embarrassed, and nobody wants to be embarrassed because now you get embarrassed. It's on the internet forever. That was not a thing our parents had to worry about. So I understand that. However, us becoming completely asocial is not healthy. And when I see black people like that, that's why I see black people leaning towards the Charlie Kirks and the Andrew Tates and all that stuff, because there's a sense of power that they want to feel that they are not feeling. And I'm seeing the rabbit hole they're going down because of them being social. If you're you don't have to be a super popular person, but if you're not a socially awkward person, you wouldn't even find Fresh and Fit entertaining.
Yeah.
Notice the Fresh and Fit and all that stuff. They're only entertaining or okay to people who are completely socially awkward and incel.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can go all day because this is a serious topic, but that's a topic for another time, actually.
Right. That's why I brought it up, man, because I see it tying into what Brother Dave said. The lack of action is because people feel apathetic. They don't really care about the lineage and giving themselves power and empower themselves. And it's because of these measures that you mentioned they put on us. So I'm not down on my brothers and sisters that read books or what. I read books too. I watch, when I was growing up, I watched anime like Dragon Ball Z, but I don't let it consume me and subsume my indigenous natural FBA culture. I don't let it do that. That's what you see happens to some of these people. And then they end up being like that kid, the black kid who went down that alt-right pipeline and unalived the Latina and her boyfriend, right? We don't want to create any more of that stuff, man. We have to save our children, man, because I love my people. I want my people to do good. And I see this, like you just mentioned, brother, you opened a can of worms, but I don't want to ramble. My bad. My bad for bringing this up, bro.
No, it's fine. And I'm glad you brought it up because
Nah, you good.
these are the people who will become victimized by YT people. Okay? And sometimes we talk about men, but sometimes it's women too. Sometimes the women can be socially awkward as well too. And they'll become victimized because they're not socially adept enough to really interact healthy with black people. And you have a whole bunch of YT people be all like, okay, you can be the good one. I'll be friends with you, Jamal. And you know what I'm saying? And they become the token in order to stay in a group of people because they would rather be exploited with people than be alone.
Yep, that's a fact.
So they're going above and beyond to fit in. Notice these are not popular people. These are not people who have an easy time making friends with anybody. Okay? These are the people who are trying their best to fit in with and sometimes it's not even just YT. Sometimes it's Hispanics. Sometimes it's Asians or whatever. They're doing their absolute best to fit in with somebody, period. Okay? And that's where the exploitation comes from.
Yeah, you can usually tell who's the ones that are accepted by the YTs. To be honest, they got a couple telltale signs, but yeah, usually you can tell for sure whether they male or female. To be honest.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you think the ones who are willing to fit in with those folks are the ones who date out, then have a bad experience, and come back to the community?
A lot of times.
Like the Shannon Sharps and Jonathan Majors, and I'm pretty sure there's some black. Serena didn't get a wake up call, but she dates outside her race and stuff. The swirlers.
These are also. I want you to think about Jonathan Majors. I want you to think about Shannon Sharp. And no offense to those brothers, but there's a reason why those brothers are buff like that. Okay. Yeah. I want you to, I'm gonna be honest because this actually kind of goes into.
Hold on now.
It kind of goes.
Right, hold on, bro.
I'm saying there's a reason because those are the type of people that were more than likely told that they were ugly their whole life. Now, I'm not saying every buff person is ugly. You had Muhammad Ali flexing about how pretty he was all the time. So I'm not saying that before I offend and wind up getting into beef with Foundational. But I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying? But I want you to see these are the type of people who had to put on some muscle because they were always told how ugly they were. Shannon Sharp has admitted this. Okay.
Marshall, his job calls for him. He's a stuntman. I mean, I don't know. They might be skinny stuntmen, but his style of fighting and everything, that you know what I'm saying. And Shannon, was a football player though.
I know Marshall fine with the women. I already know he ain't socially awkward to the slightest degree. I can already tell. I see the FBA swag off of Marshall, so I ain't talking about him at all. Okay.
He just would have got that foundational black American haircut.
He got a haircut on camera. That's some swag right there. This man got a haircut on camera. On live stream. If that ain't swag, I don't know what it is. But I'm saying, like, those are the people who, if they felt that way, They never liked to. They were always kind of the butt of the joke. They always got teased. Okay, these are people who I hate to say it too, ex fatties, people who are probably a fat kid, who are always fat pretty much up until adulthood, and always felt like the oddball. And because of that, and because of the fear of embarrassment, because that is a fear that human beings had, because of the fear of embarrassment, it forced them to be asocial. It forced them to be introverted. Okay, and they desperately wanted a group that they could fit into, or some acceptance from people. All right, which causes them to believe it, which causes them to have this internal fear of, or a feeling of rejection. So when they date a black person, they date a black woman, if it goes south, oh, black women have always hated me. They've always never liked me. None of them ever liked me. And then the second they get with a white woman, now it's changed.
Right.
It's changed. And that's a lot of times due to their own insecurity. It could have been she didn't like you or whatever the case is. It could have been another reason. But your own insecurity based off of the fact that you always felt some type of way about yourself. And you believe that your sour relationship is confirmation that black women feel this way about you. And because of that quote unquote artificial confirmation, now you're leaning to the other side.
I like mushroom.
All right. So we can really go there. We can really go there. Cynthia G, that's another one. Let's be honest. We gonna be honest. We gonna be honest. It's a lot of these.
Candace Owens.
Look at the older pictures of Candace Owens before she
got
with those studios and learned how to do her hair and get dialed up and everything like that. Let's be honest, Candace Owens. There's always that black girl who never really knew how to do her hair. Her parents didn't know how to do her hair like that, and she was always kind of looking like, I don't know what's going on with you. They would dress a little weird. And they would have resentment because they could never really fit in the way everybody else could.
They got to disconnect from the culture. Even with Candace didn't even know, the response to God is good, So even little stuff like that, she clearly had a disconnect from the culture. Stuff like that will deter black American men specifically away from, like, they not feeling that. You don't have the same feel as the women they grew up with.
No, Cynthia G tried to get on me on Instagram, right? So it was a divested type of post. And them foreign women who think they should talk about black American relationships. So I was telling the sisters in the chat, don't worry about what's going on here. Pay attention to the men that love you. And here came Cynthia G. Black men don't get married and they don't. I said, the stats show that when black men get married, they marry black women more than any of the demographic. They marry white people at a rate out of 11%. And they marry Hispanics even less at 4%. Here came her minions. And I'm like, goodness gracious. But she commented that, and then the Hive started attacking me, and she left. So I start blocking them so that I could just have the conversation with her. But it was a comment battle, and she never really commented because she couldn't dispute that fact. The stats ain't changed since 2017, if not mistaken. So, yeah, Cynthia G is something else, y'all.
Yeah, she was a straight up. She might have been a CIA agent or something. She used to say some wild shit about black men. It's great.
Yeah, and the thing is that these people are very dangerous. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's not like these are socially awkward people. These are the people who will be elevated to be on a panel of reparations and be all like, black people don't deserve anything. They will be used as the token and the weapon. These are the type of people who will become a police officer and be showing out for the YT cop.
Yep, exactly. Just like them dudes.
It is dangerous. It's not just awkward. It's dangerous.
But let me say this: when y'all saying about Candace Owens is not FBA. That's the reason she acts and everything like she does and talks like she does, because she said many a time she don't believe that reparations should be given.
Yeah, no, she's not. And that's one of the reasons why we have to understand her being Caribbean is why she could never um feel accepted. Okay. Her being Caribbean is always why why there was this cultural disconnect in the first place. Okay. Which is why it's so easy for her to sell us out, because she feels no connection. Remember, she said she's
Exactly.
not going to talk about Caribbeans the way she talks about Black Americans. She
Exactly.
refuses to talk about Caribbeans the way she talks about Black Americans, because she has no connection no cultural connection to Black Americans like that.
And let me
So
say one
there's
more
no
thing, y'all.
shame with her.
When y'all was talking about the blacks that felt disconnected and they were maybe loners or something like that, because I found out something by myself when I went to college, and they had a course that we had to take where you find out about yourself and what's the best way you for to study and everything, and what type of person that you are. And I found that I'm a loner in a little bit, but I wasn't completely, like y'all said, the type of person just set to the side because I had such a large family. So I never had to go outside of my family for friends and stuff like that. So, and I have another cousin, and she's even more than I am, but she's always had a lot of people around her, so she wouldn't be, her and I, so we wouldn't be so introverted. And I've noticed about myself, and that's what I learned, that when I went somewhere and was in in some type of function or whatever, and I started noticing that I actually would look for those type of people that standing up against the wall just like that, and I would always try my best to draw them in so they wouldn't feel by themselves and lonely and everything, and pull them into, if we're having a conversation, pull them into the conversation. And I think a lot of us should get like that. When you see someone and you see they little introvert standing over to the side, and then go over there and just start talking, because I'm from Texas, and Texas people say we don't meet any strangers, so I pull them into I can be sitting at the bus stop and sitting by somebody and strike up a conversation before you all said and done. We sit there laughing and talking, and then say, okay, well, you have a good day. We need to start doing more of that when we see it. That's all they need. Some of them, that's all they need. Is somebody to take a little bit of interest, because they're feeling, like you say, by themselves. They're feeling lonely, like no one cares, and I understand that feeling. So I try to pull a person in to the conversation we're having or whatever is going on, so they won't be just standing to the side.
Yeah, and that's necessary, and that can heal the community.
Yes.
That's that is community. And that's what
Yes.
it's like when everybody makes sure that other people feel welcome. There's a lot of people who feel awkward introducing themselves. So sometimes you got to kind of give them the opportunity to. These are not people who are asocial, most people are not like that. Most people are not asocial where they don't like socializing. People are more than likely socially awkward.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they probably, and this happens when Black people, when they like leave and they go into like a suburban neighborhood where there's not a lot of Black people, or they went to school and there's not a lot of Black people, and they didn't really have a lot of people to interact with, or they have very strict parents. You see this a lot with people who had very strict parents, and they didn't really leave the house that much. They didn't really interact with people that much, and they didn't learn to have those social cues growing up. So you see that a lot. So sometimes we need to give a little helping hand. And like you said, be just friendly and welcoming, so they don't feel rejected or without a community. Okay.
Can I say this? I'm going to go back to Candace. So Candace is against Black Americans getting reparations. So she don't know about CARICOM, because if not mistaken, they're representing the island of St. Thomas. So that's where Candace Owens comes from. And it amazes me that all these Caribbeans and even some Africans, right, who speak against our reparations, and the Latinos too, who speak against our reparations, have representatives actively fighting for their repair, but they come against and speak against ours. Like, I'm sick of them folks.
I'm sure she's not gonna have nothing to say about CARICOM. She ain't gonna have nothing to say about that.
Sage, I'm gonna have to Sage. Come on, man. Sage gonna say, Afro, what you got against people working out? Sage, come up here, Sage. Come up here right now, Sage. I'm sick of you. Oh boy, Sage is too much. But yeah, that's let's be honest. Let's be now. Yeah, Sage, come up here. Come up here right now, Sage.
You know what? That's been a struggle for me homeschooling. I try to make sure my daughter is doing like a whole bunch of extracurricular activities with kids because I homeschool her so that she
Mm-hmm.
get that interaction. So I do see that that is so necessary. You guys are so right.
Yeah,
Man.
Yeah.
Sage.
Why? Why you always?
Why you always messing with me, Sage?
Why you never miss my trolling, bro? If I want to, first of all, I don't like you workout dudes, bro. You workout dudes, bro. Y'all be showing videos and all that, bro. And I don't even know why y'all do that, bro. What's the point of even working out, bro? Why don't we read? Okay, read a book. Okay, there's no point in hitting weights. I mean, I don't even know what the point behind that is. What do you want to build muscle? You want to look like Rodney Coleman? What is the point? I'm
Of
just
course, they're trolling. I ignored him,
Yeah.
hoping Afro didn't see it because, sometimes Sage be doing the most. And I knew if he was going to come on the panel, he was just going to talk about the Bronx at one point in time. It's
I was
coming.
gonna let
So
that
I was
slide for
ignoring
right
him.
now. You know what I mean? I was gonna let that slide, but I just want to say peace to the family. How's everybody
Peace.
going? I'm not too abreast on. I didn't see the roast, Kevin Hart roast. I did hear about him and Cat Williams. I do think that that's a great thing. I think that together we are definitely powerful. I love the fact that both brothers being successful in their own lanes can make peace, and I love that. We don't have to, have issues with each other. I don't know much about this other guy. That's why I'm not commenting on that. I'm be honest. I don't think I'm qualified to speak on that. I don't know what he said. I don't want you to reset the room. None of that. I'm well aware that my brother, Foundational's up here, ZZ's up here, BX is up here. All of you guys that are up here, I'm sure you've handled yourself. I heard the person that was trying to speak in favor of that PC guy. I think the family handled him well. Shout out to you guys. Again, I did not see the roast, so I'm not gonna act like I know what was said. But from what I gauged, it was something that was out of term. You shouldn't make fun of people that have, passed on. I mean, if anyone was to, make fun of the guy whose wife is running around running his organization today, they would have a problem with it, So I think that we have to be equal across the board. It can't be where some people are fair game to make fun of and others are not. So again, I want to shout out to you guys. Yeah, basically with that, I'm not going to say much about the Bronx today. Because I do love UBX, so I'm not gonna say nothing about the Bronx. I'm gonna get on DC and make fun of ZZ. I'm gonna just do that. I could make fun of Chicago. Like
Oh
come on.
Lord. Okay.
I could talk
So
about their
we gonna
nasty
have
ass
our own
people.
FBA roast. Is that what we're gonna do?
Something like that. We have to. We got to talk about the pizza over there, bro. We got to talk about how New York Knicks is still in the playoffs and the Bulls is nowhere to be seen. And don't make me mention the Wizards. But anyway,
Sage, wait. Do you know that a Black American from New York, actually who migrated to Chicago, made the deep dish? That's New York pizza. Go look it up.
Wait. What part of
Go
New
look
York?
it up.
Wait. What part of New York was he from?
I believe she. It's a
Oh, she.
she, and I believe she's from Harlem.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we're ending this live. It's over with. We're done. We're done. Everybody gotta go.
See, you see, we city people, bro. Typical. You see?
This is great.
Oh, look, the Black American House said, I'm glad I'm down south this y'all be. If you in Georgia, I got some words for you too, but I'm gonna spare you today, the Black American House.
Why does BX sound like those Caribbeans, bro, when it come to hip hop right now? Yo, why does she sound like that? Oh my God, bro. Nah, that didn't really
But
come
go
from the
look it
Bronx.
up. I learned that during Women's History Month or Black History Month, because it's one right after the other. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. I really wouldn't. But then, okay, I could bring Cali into it. Who made chicken and waffles? Wasn't the guy who did that from? I believe he was from Harlem too.
Oh damn.
Roscoe's.
Yeah,
Is it
I'm getting hip
Roscoe's?
hop vibes. I'm getting Caribbean hip hop.
Shut up.
Yo, man, it didn't start in the Bronx. It didn't start in the Bronx, bro. It started in Kingston.
Giving it to
Woo.
Harlem. I'm not, and I don't rep Harlem at all. All honest to Harlem in the Harlem Renaissance, but I'm a Bronxite, right? So yeah, when the Bronx does something special, I acknowledge it. When Harlem does, I acknowledge that. When Brooklyn does, I do too. But like I told you, you cannot separate the Bronx from Brooklyn because
So
that's my
one problem, bro. The
second
Bronx don't do
favorite
nothing
borough.
special. It's only one problem. They ain't doing nothing special up there. That's it. I'm sorry. You set yourself up for that. Foundation. She set it up for that. Come on, bro. She set it up for that. She did. She did. But nah, you know it's all love. It's all love.
All right. Oh, that was cool. We'll give everybody a minute to give their closing thoughts. You know.
And that Kevin Hart thing too. Kevin Hart and Cat Williams thing. I heard he was being a little shady, Cat Williams. I heard that he wasn't reading from the teleprompter. I gotta go back and watch and I ain't seen it yet. But from what I hear, he didn't really mean that he was making no truce with Kevin. I don't know. I gotta go watch and see for myself. But it seemed like Cat was standing on, righteous business. He still wasn't rocking with it. He said everybody up there, he's the only person with a soul and all types of shit. So I gotta go back and watch.
He wasn't being a little
I've
shady.
just seen clips. I haven't seen the whole thing, but it don't look like.
Right.
Yeah, well, I got to see it again.
Me too.
So
I gotta
The whole
watch it.
thing in its entirety.
So bring me up to speed, ZZ. I don't really follow him like that. What's supposed to happen between him and Kevin?
It's been a long history. Honestly, them two been kind of going back and forth. I forgot how it started, but Cat Williams has talked about it multiple times. Just look up Cat Williams, Kevin Hart beef, and I'm sure you'll find a bunch of clips on it. But they ain't been cool for like a minute now, for a little while. And
I
Kevin
don't
Hart was
understand.
talking shit about it.
Yeah, I don't understand these celebrity beefs. To me, that's crazy. Both of you are multi-millionaires. Go sit down somewhere. You know what I'm saying? With the rappers, I could understand it because they trying to make it, so that's how they making their money. Because everybody's hearing these beef back and forth. But the celebrities, that's just silly to me.
Yeah.
I believe it started according to people around them, it started because Kevin supposedly blocked Cat from getting a role, and that's where they're supposedly. I don't know how true that is, but
Yeah, and then he tried to blame it on the fact that he was getting locked up or he was on D-Rugs, and yeah, Kevin was kind of talking crazy about Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I look at it like this: whatever it was, if it was meant for him, he would have got it. So evidently, it must not have been meant for him.
You know, Hollywood.
Let's not, because now we're gonna get into a debate about Cowboys. That's gonna be a whole nother thing.
No, I'm not getting. I'm just saying
he was shorter for the role anyway. It's gonna be.
Oh, that part. Okay.
Wait, which one of them are taller than each other? Like, which one is taller? That's a great question.
Cat. I think Cat is taller.
It's close.
It's close. If one of them is taller, they not much taller.
Okay. I mean, but in the way I look at it, because first of all, they both FBAs. Why feed into that? Because that's what all the other people want to hear and see. You steady going at each other. You don't hear them doing all that. Stop that. That's menial stuff. Because if it was meant for you, you would have gotten it. Stop feeding into their craziness.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, they said they moved on, so we'll take it as that until another joke gets told. So, all right. But Foundation, or Candy, you with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Any final words, Candy?
Oh, absolutely. Jokes on him. It wasn't funny. Jokes on him. He pissed everybody off. He thought he was really eating with that joke. I don't know what went through his head, but it didn't land very well. And he's literally ticked everybody off. I look forward to hearing what other people have to say on the internet after this, because after we had our discussion about the Drewski skit, I saw so many other people talking about that as well. So I believe that this is going to take off. And I think it's time that we start doing that. Like, make these type of things go viral and show our disdain for it, so that other celebrities don't make the same mistakes that Kevin made and think he's going to bring his racist buddy up to tell his little racist jokes and think we're going to laugh. Because now the joke's on Kevin, because now I'm looking at Kevin's side eye like, so you the black friend when he say he got black friends? So, it just makes me look at Kevin Hart differently. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I land.
I'm just gonna say this. They used to say all publicity is good publicity. That might have used to be the case. Maybe it used to be back in the day. That is not the case today. All
Yeah.
publicity, not good publicity.
That's a
You
fact.
Say
will
it
get shut
again.
down real quick. You gonna learn. Folks gonna learn the hard way.
You gonna learn.
Y'all do
Yeah.
not want that bad press now.
Yeah, and I think like I agree with what she was saying, and not only that, we need to start calling it out more. Just like a lot of FBAs was very unhappy with the choosing of who was playing Shaka Khan, and I don't know if the movie even came out, but I know I didn't hear about it, so I'm guessing that nobody. I know I didn't. I don't know anything about it no more than this is who they chose, and that all the FBAs was sounding off and letting them know, no, why would you choose her? And not only that, because some words that she had said before this, and that we would not support it. So,
Yep.
do y'all know if they ever finished making the movie?
I don't
No,
think they ever made it.
they never officially even cast her. It was just kind of
Right.
like a rumor that was floating around
Oh,
that they were looking at her to play Shaka
yeah,
Khan.
because I don't think a lot of them supported because she had played before. Who was that?
Harriet Tubman and Aretha
Oh,
Franklin.
yeah,
Yeah,
Harry
and
Tubman.
Aretha.
So a lot of people, yeah. Well, with Aretha, it was wasn't it like a like Netflix kind of thing?
I think that movie
It
came
wasn't
out
at
of
the movies,
theaters. Or
was it?
that Aretha movie.
It came on to the movies
Yeah, I think it came out of theaters.
You talking about the one with that
because they had
Aretha
two. They
girl?
had one with her and one with Jennifer.
So the
Yeah,
one
the
with
one with
Jennifer
Jennifer was
came
way
on
better.
theaters. That one came on theaters, but the one with Aretha went straight to TV.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, that's what
Good.
I'm
I thought it
saying.
came
It
out of
didn't
theaters.
come out.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, because
But
I actually seen both of them.
we're gonna have to wrap things up shortly, so I'm gonna let y'all get y'all final words
That was
in.
it for me. Y'all be blessed.
You too. Thank you very much.
Blessing. Say, okay, let me get it over with because I don't want to forget. So I want to say this. I should have never brought up Chicago, New York, and deep pizza because FBA Cast, also known as Brother Gone World, keeps at me like BX. She's from Mississippi. I want to say this: New York. I know our
Oh, she
primary
from
mic.
Mississippi. Oh, thank God. Okay,
Hold on. New York's still in
we
the mix,
still
though.
good.
New
Okay,
York,
we still in the game. All right, cool.
Afro. New York is still in the mix. I want to say this. New York has a relationship with Chicago. New York, our primary migration path are the Carolinas, correct. But we have so many other people who pass through here. I want to say, when I bring up certain stuff and jest, I'm really serious about the relationship that New York has with other states. So let's take New York and Chicago. The Harlem Renaissance was going on at the same time Chicago's Renaissance was going on, but Chicago's Renaissance is not talked about enough in my eyes. To the point where I interviewed the young man from Chicago and told him about the Chicago Renaissance, which was primarily literary. So even if she is from Mississippi, New York was still in the mix because I believe she visited New York and then migrated to Chicago. That's fine. Please notice that New York, when they are influenced by anything, like they were influenced with drill music, they'll never say, I created drill music. It's always an ode to Chicago. And just know that Chicagoans, the youth, the younger generation, migrated or came here to New York during the pandemic. So, whereas I used to look at the other states as not liking New York, because some of you Southerners are very loud about New York and some misinformation there are other states and cities that love New York. And they actually come here and interact with us and stuff like that. I'd be surprised, like, why y'all moving to New York? But yeah, y'all research the Harlem Renaissance. Y'all can research. I have a segment called Destroying Tetherville. Destroying the narrative of Tetherville, because Mandummy, right, is wrong when he says immigrants built New York. So I try to dispel that myth by showing Black Americans in all periods of our history, right?
He walked it back though.
Sapphish stage, you throw me off track, then it gets longer. And I know Afro's about to go because I saw the notification for his YouTube live, which I'm trying to make for at least 45 minutes. But I gotta tell you, right? So we did have an indigenous Black American, foundational Black American, enslaved population, people here who built this culture, and we had a sailor culture, and we also have a relationship with the other states, Northern, Midwest, West Coast, and the South. You cannot say immigrants built New York, but I'm a respectful New Yorker that will give Chicago their props. I love y'all, and I will always talk about y'all Renaissance and your deep dish being from New York. I
That's comedy. That's comedy right there. That's how you do it.
Black American
That's how you do
assholes,
it. That's how you do it. Okay. Alrighty then. I guess we're close it there. Y'all make sure y'all go to For the Culture on YouTube so y'all can listen to the playback of this and everything else that we do. I greatly appreciate y'all. If you guys are listening from YouTube, thank you all so very much for that. And please make sure that you guys hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, notification, leave a comment, all of that. Thank you very much for that. ZZ, closing thoughts, final words.
Yeah, man. Again, unsurprised. This is the usual behavior of these YT comedians, quote unquote. And honestly, I don't even know we should give some of these people the word comedian because, again, it's just cowardice behavior. They're hiding behind debatable humor because that shit wasn't even funny. To get off anti-black racism, you know, so that does have to be checked. Again, we're all for First Amendment rights, all for you having free speech and saying what you want, but again, you got to get the consequences that come with that. You know, just like that white man that was running around saying the N-word to black people. Oh, it's free speech, it's free speech. Although he was harassing these people. But even if you do want to say the N-word, if you get backhanded, TikTok, we don't support violence. But if you happen to do that, if you happen to get backhanded, don't look at black people like we supposed to feel bad for your ass when you got what you got. It is what it is. Those are just the consequences. Whether you think that's justified, it was emotional reaction, whatever the hell, that's just what comes with it. So just be prepared. If you're going to stand on that anti-black rant or anti-black rhetoric, stand on the consequences that come behind that. It's really just that simple. Kevin Hart got to do better, but Kevin Hart been fucking up. He wearing dresses and all that. Kevin Hart been fucking up, in my opinion, for a long time. So I ain't really been that big of a fan of him since about, laughing my pain. So yeah, it is what it is. Again, I'm not even that surprised that he got up there. Again, this contemptible about it. This could have been a humiliation ritual to a degree. Because for him to get up there and laugh or not correct that, at least, or even some of the other black folks like somebody else made the point of not getting up there to at least say something about that, I think does say something about the overall messaging behind this event. We can roast people without having, an undertone or even a blatant anti-black racism interjected within it. So, but it is what it is. It's Netflix, so can we really be that surprised? That's how these people work. Shout out to the chat, to the panel. Thank you for the gifts. This was a good one.
All right, thank y'all. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Yeah, I agree. Thank you all. All right. Make sure you go to For the Culture on YouTube. Thank you, family. All right.
Wait.
B1.
When's the next time you going live coming live on TikTok? I can't forget that question.
Today, if not tomorrow, then Thursday. Gotta see.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of busy lately, so if not tomorrow, then Thursday.
Let's do it before Friday because I'm going out of the country. Clock it.
Oh, where you going? Where you going, Coral? Where you going?
I'm going to Dominican Republic. Going over there with the anti-black ass Dominicans. You know them niggas be anti-black though. But I'm about to have a good time, so y'all ain't worried about it. But yeah.
Have fun.
You guys heard Zizi just admitted she's non-foundational.
No, why you doing that? Making me Caribbean, making her Republic, Dominican Republic.
Watch us look at her Instagram. She having a whole family reunion. We are like, that's a weird place to have a family reunion, ain't it?
You know what they say? You are where you go, bro. You are where you go, bro. That's what they say. You are where you go.
Okay. Are you sure you didn't want to go to Alabama, ZZ? You had to go to the Dominican Republic? Okay.
Go to Miami. Why you go all the way over there to Dominican Republic? Go to Miami.
Too much now.
She said, I want some authentic tacos.
ZZ, when's the last time you had some cornbread? I don't know about you, though.
Afro, you know what type of restaurant I work in. They
Oh
got eat
yeah,
cornbread all the
I do.
time.
Yeah, they
You
do
done had
have
it
good
before, man.
cornbread. I will give it that.
Come on.
They don't be playing with the cornbread.
Come on. The food is busted. It's Black American.
All right, yeah. All
Mm-hmm.
right,
Zizi,
all
how you
right.
feel about suavemente? I'm playing.
It's stupid. I can't wait.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Peace, V1.
Peace,
Be
B1.
one.
Oh, ZZ say adios.
Oh, adios, amigos.
Peace, B1 family.